The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Can't you hear that rooster crowing? Rabbit running down across the road, underneath the bridge where the water flowed through. So happy just to see a smile underneath the sky blue. On this new morning, on this new morning with you. Can't you hear that motor turning? Automobile coming into style, coming down the road for a country mile or two. So happy just to see you smile underneath that sky blue. On this new morning, on this new morning with you. The night passed away so quickly. It always does when you're with me. Can't you feel it, sun shining? Groundhog running by the country stream. This must be the day that all of my dreams come true. So happy just to be alive underneath the sky blue. On this new morning, on this new morning with you.
Here we go. Here we go. Yes.
So happy just to be alive underneath the sky of blue on this new morning.
Bob Dylan in surprisingly upbeat mode, all things considered. I
On
mean,
this new
wowzers.
morning with you.
That's enough there, you get the idea. Good evening, this is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio with me, Iain Lee, and we are joined this evening by Dougie Anderson. Some of you may know him better as Dougie Anderson. I just know him as Dougie. Didn't know his last name until
Or
literally...
in Italy, it tends to be Dougal Tony Androtoni.
Here we go! How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
It's really nice to see you.
Hey, come here. That's nice. Cold hands.
Cold hands. Cold hands. Well, the walk from the tube station, as we are in London.
Yep.
Oh, it was a cold one. It was a cold one. I used to think I was used to this up in the Scotland, but
Is this as cold as Scotland?
this is colder than anywhere in
Wow.
in the Great British Isles, isn't it? Because it's coming from
Russia. From Russia with love.
Russia.
James Bond with love, with Russian love. It's nice to have you here.
It's good to be here.
It is bloody cold today, and I was in central London, and the snow was coming down thick and fast, very, very slippery underfoot. Very. I had to remember how to walk in the ice and snow. I'd have to lift my feet up and.
There's something that I thought about today when I was thinking about people on the slippy pavements.
Yes.
which almost sounds like an indie band from the early 80s.
The Slippy Pavements, yes.
You see the Slippy Pavements are playing at the old Windsor Trout.
The old Trout, yeah. Hey, good thing. I saw the Pixies there.
Yeah.
And I saw that Petrol Emotion.
First band I was ever in did a cover of Monkey Gone to Heaven by the Pixies, which was really embarrassing because it has that breakdown when you have to go, and no, if the devil is six, and it's all, and then the band kicks in on, then God is seven, so I think, terrible.
Can I say something controversial? I don't think the Pixies are that good. I don't think they are. I like a couple of their tunes. Gigantic, Monkey Gone to Heaven. I mean, but really, it's a racket.
Well, before we
Alison.
get Frank Black phoning in, peeved.
Yeah. Or Joey Santiago, let's be honest. He's taken a more verbal role as the years have gone on.
Yes. Kim Deal out the picture now.
Oh, I know.
But she's got the Beaters back together.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Slippy Pavements, and I was thinking about a time when we would arrange to have a brunch in the diner in Camden Town.
Oh, God, lots of coffee. Very strong coffee.
But I got there first. I got there first, and I saw you walk into the door, and then you completely disappeared.
I totally went. And I can laugh now, but at the time I was really annoyed. But you were just laughing.
Yeah, but the thing is, you didn't know that I had seen it, and you came in. You'll never guess what's happening. Yeah. I just completely fell flat on my face, and I'd seen it all.
Yeah.
I just thought, gosh,
I've got a real problem with cameramen that set up where they know people are going to fall over. You do know what I mean?
Is that a thing, is it?
Yeah, it's a thing. So you'll see it on, like, the 6 o'clock news with Alistair Stewart or other newses. You'll see, and today's been a rather slippery one, and there's this footage shows, and you'll just see, like, a montage of 12 people falling over in the same spot. Yeah. It's because the cameraman's just sat go and put a bit of salt down. Get some grit.
I know,
do
but
a proper job.
You watch sort of BBC Breakfast this morning, and it's just it's the lead story, isn't it? And it's like, for God's sake, just come on.
I don't watch BBC Breakfast. I only watch Good Morning Britain because I'm now part of the Good Morning Britain team. I'm mainstream now.
What are you doing?
I'm their stand-in showbiz guy when Richard Arnold can't do it. Seriously, I'm their stand-in. My life, Dougie, since Australia has gone nuts. Okay, I was invited on to Loose Women. I say invited. I was paid a lot of money, thousands, to go on Loose Women and to give my
Seriously?
first. I'm going to write down.
To give your first.
So write down how many thousands.
That's a letter, isn't it?
No, it's a 5.
All right.
I mean, no. To go on and give my first interview, right? And I'm there, and they
Who
said,
were the Loose Women on that episode?
Oh, it was Carol McGiffin. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't. It was Anne Diamond, Jane Moore.
Oh yes, from The Sun.
Yeah, I like Jane Moore. Nadia Sawalha.
Oh yes.
And the lady that
who was in Clockwise, of course.
Was she?
Who was in Clockwise, playing a sort of school punk.
Was she?
Yep.
And the lady that presents Naked Attraction. I think she was on then. I think so. You know, you've seen Naked Attraction?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, it's 5 people stand in pods. And a man or a woman comes out.
I've seen a trailer for that, yes.
And they're naked.
I think that's what put me off, and I decided instead to listen to a little bit of Radio 3.
But if we were if that's the kind of crap that we would have ended up presenting if it had happened, if they'd have thought of that in the 90s.
Well, at least you got $5,000 for it, though. That's all right.
Yeah, but and I'm talking about Loose Women. I love Loose Women. I'm talking about Naked Attraction. But so, and I had to come down a slide to come down a chimney. And then I had to pour a bucket of cream over Joey Essex. This is
on Loose Women?
Yeah. This is what my life has become. I'm loving it. I'm mainstream.
Going back to your role of, was it showbiz reporter on Good Morning Britain with
Susanna Reid.
Piers Morgan and Susanna Reid at the helm?
Yeah, sometimes it's Ben Shepherd and sometimes last week it was Jeremy Kyle I was on with.
Well, I mean, listen, it's an embarrassment of something there.
Yeah.
So do you have to talk about
showbiz,
X Factor, and all this
Voice,
kind of stuff, and The Voice,
skating on ice, dancing on ice?
Have you spoken to them about reviewing Head, the Monkeys movie?
I did get a Monkeys mention in on Monday. I got a Monkeys mention in. We talked about the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Well, listen, quite ridiculous the ticket prices.
How much?
I think it starts at something like £100 to see
And
them
they're
in a stadium.
stadiums, yeah.
Have you
Twickenham
seen
Stadium.
the Crossfire Hurricane film?
No.
Right, you really got to see it because it's totally worth watching. I know you're not a big Stones.
No, but I would
kinda
like to
guy.
go and see them if they were like playing, you know.
It's not really worth it.
No.
It's not really worth it because the versions of the songs they play now, they're quite lazily done. They are older. Keith's got his arthritis problems.
Oh, but I'd still like to see them before they die.
Yeah, but the thing is, you've got to watch Crossfire Hurricane because it really centres in on the Brian Jones years, obviously, because he was the guy who named the band and formed the band.
Yeah.
Stop trying to rewrite him out of history, Mick and
God,
Keith.
Murderers.
And also...
Not saying that the Rolling Stones were murderers, just for legal reasons.
And also, he never even got a songwriting credit, and all the stuff that he did, the embellishment in the songs, he absolutely should have done. And between 1965 and February 1967, he was the coolest pop star who has ever lived.
Yeah.
And the Mick Taylor years, of course.
Yes, often
So,
overlooked. I've got a problem with Ronnie Wood because I once compared a comedy evening in a club and Ronnie Wood came and sat in the front row, came in late, sat in the front row, was vaping and talking, then got up halfway through Joel Dommett's set. I don't like him.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do that at the Rolling Stones at Twickenham Stadium, sit in the front row and get up halfway through and walk out.
I went to see the Stones at Hyde Park in
1916.
In 2013.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, people go to see the Stones now. It's like, oh, I've got to see the Stones because it might be the last time.
Yeah, this could be the last time.
And it's just not.
It's one of their songs.
It's just not. They are my favourite band of all time.
Oh.
The Jones and Taylor years and all that kind of thing. And it's when you are. And Mick Taylor actually played at that gig. He came on for Midnight Rambler. The live version of which on Get Your Yayas Out is the best it gets, I think, that live version. And I said, I'm not shouty at concerts or gigs. I'm not a shouty person, but I did shout something.
F off, Mick!
I think it was something along the lines of, go on yourself, Taylor. Right? It just kind of came out. Go on yourself, Taylor. And the girl I was there with my then girlfriend, soon to be fiancée, now wife. Now wife.
That's the transition, isn't it?
Because I'm married and thoroughly enjoying it.
Good for you.
So sorry, single ladies.
Stop rubbing it in. I'm single and thoroughly unhappy as a direct result.
Hey, come on, you've got a lot going for you.
Thanks.
And not just the Good Morning Britain gig.
Thank you.
And I said, go on yourself, Taylor. And the girl in front of me turned round and said, who's Taylor? I said, well, Mick Taylor. She said, who's Mick Taylor? I went, well, he replaced Brian Jones.
No.
To which she retorted,
she didn't.
Who's Brian Jones?
Well, then she should have been removed by security.
Yeah.
You should have to pass not a difficult test, but you should have to pass a test to go in and see a heritage act.
But I used some Brian Jones audio on the last episode of the public service broadcast.
Oh, that was smoothly done. Well done.
The third series of my music podcast.
Yeah.
But the audio I used of Brian was from a radio interview he did in 1965 on Swedish radio.
Gosh.
This is the world we live in now. You can actually collate and collect these kind of weird audio things and use them in a podcast format.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
And scene. If you've ever shouted out anything at a gig, 03444991000, I have put off to the point where they've stopped singing and given me dirty looks. Prince and Neil Diamond, both. I was singing louder than they were, and they stopped and looked at me. And my girlfriend, both times I went, he stopped and he gave you a dirty look. And also, I've shouted, and I regret shouting this. At a Brian Wilson concert when he was premiering Smile at the Royal Festival Hall.
All I wanna do.
I was I'm going to say it, I was very high, very drunk. Me and my friend had just gone in. We saw an empty box.
High on the pot, was it? The old pot.
The old pottage. And we went into this box just because it was empty, and we sat there. And then some other drunk gentlemen came in, and they were so drunk. One of them needed to have a wee, but he couldn't be bothered to go to the toilet, so he downed his pint and peed in his glass.
Yeah.
And I shouted out very, very loudly, who needs Mike Love? So loudly that it appears on the bootleg recording of it. But I regret doing that.
I'm well aware that we were singing a Might Love song there, even though you were talking about Mr. Wilson. Love and Mercy.
Yeah.
The
movie.
The movie.
Yeah.
I adore all those studio scenes when they're doing pet sounds and good vibrations. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah.
But I can see you're
No, I enjoyed the film a lot, actually. I was more interested in the 80s period, but then I thought John Cusack didn't do it very well.
Oh, right.
He didn't, he didn't do the dropped jaw.
Paul Dano's a really good actor.
Oh, he's great.
Everything he's in, he's just... And yet to win an Oscar, but seems to be in a lot of movies with a cast who are pretty much all Oscar winners, and he can act them. Yeah, he could act the pants off them if they. And I used the pants in both the American and the British terminology.
I just think now we can't really make jokes about people losing their.
Do you know what I think post Weinstein? What is a shame? How obviously there's this. The Greta Gerwig films, it's up for she's up for best director and it's up for best film, and so the women are, quite rightly taking. Centre stage.
Yes.
Why couldn't this happen before? Obviously, but why couldn't it happen when the amazing Angie Arnold film American Honey was out a couple of years ago, which should have won absolutely a BAFTA and should have been up for best film and best director at the Oscars.
Yes.
Wasn't won the jury prize at Cannes, but gosh, Well, now I fear tokenism, where it should just been let's get things right from the get-go.
It's time for the birds. 0344 499 1000 is the phone number. We've got some calls.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't it? I know. Let's go to Gatford.
No, your comments.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Gatford's quite a dry caller, so we'll get to the meat and veg of this very quickly, then discard him.
I've got a question for you both.
Yes.
Who's the most famous person that's hugged you?
That's actually a good question.
Not that you've hugged, but hugged you.
I can say probably most recently, Gary Gatford. Gary Gatford, right? If that's okay. Just Shia LaBeouf.
Ooh, that's impressive.
Who gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes. I found him very lovable. And, I tell you what, I recently watched him playing John McEnroe. And the Bjorn Borg, and I thought he was very good in it, and he was of course in the aforementioned Angie Arnold film American Honey.
Mine would be, and she also kissed me, Angelina Jolie.
Yeah,
because you were in a film with her.
I was in a movie with her.
Yeah,
I co-starred in a movie with her. She came over to me. She was stood behind me, but my peripheral vision saw her there, and I was talking to a very boring old extra woman, really boring. I was just being polite, and I was thinking all the time, Angelina Jolie stood right behind me. Can you finish your boring story so I can go and talk to her?
Yeah.
And she finished. I turned around and...
was it a lip kiss?
It was... She kissed me with her lips, yes. And
yeah, but was it on... Where did
you mean, was it lip to lip?
Where did it land?
It landed... it was on a cheek. But I will not be any more. Gentlemen, don't tell.
And you?
And she told me that I was funny as well.
You are funny. You're funny and lovable.
There we go.
And that's a pretty good
Can I
double
tell you who's the most famous person who's hugged me?
Yes,
Yeah, sure.
of course.
Yeah, Dougie Anderson.
Oh, well.
Ooh, tell me more, tell me more. Did you put up a fight? Bit rapey, Grease, isn't it? It's a little bit rapey, Grease, isn't it? It really is an unpleasant...
No, come on. You need to just calm down there.
What about Grease 2? Does that equally?
Well, we've got the owner of Grease 2 on the line. Alan, you own Grease 2, don't you?
That's correct.
Yep, Alan, we gave away movies, and Alan owns the rights to Grease 2.
Wow.
Starring Maxwell Caulfield.
You didn't know any of the
Michelle
songs?
Pfeiffer.
Yes, and Michelle Pfeiffer. What have you called him for, Gatford? The Caddick.
I've got a question for Dougie.
Oh, OK, well, you go. Dougie's here, so it's a coincidence.
If you could star in Grease 2, which character would you be?
Oh.
Well, first of all, it's a tricky one to answer because I haven't seen Grease 2.
Sacrilege!
Well,
But I will answer by saying probably Fiona.
I don't think Fiona was in Grease 2.
well, there would be if Dougie were in it. This music podcast you do.
Yes.
Come on, give us the stats. Give us the stats.
Well, I can give you the name of it first of all.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant. Actually. Don't want any numbers.
The public service broadcast.
Yeah.
And it's a mixture of all kinds of music, new and old, soundtracks. Obviously, I chat throughout about music and about sort of art, life in general.
Yeah.
I like to use old audio things. I found this amazing in the latest episode 3. It was some old John Lennon interview. And what's great about it, he's just talking about the sort of Nixon era. And I think Nixon was in power at the time, and he's just basically told the people in power are lunatics and all that. And obviously it could have just been about the times we're living in now. But I've got this song from Willie Dunn, I Pity the Country, which was written in, I think, the early 70s, which could have been written just now about what's happening in the world. And I got this piece of audio and I segued into Willie Dunn, and it's just joyous. It's absolutely... Willie Dunn's this... I found his music on this...
I don't know Willie
Native American Volume 1 compilation. And it's all about these Native American, or people off Native American stock who became sort of folk musicians in the 60s, 70s. And they released these sort of one-off singles, which were completely lost. And you know the Light in the Attic label?
No.
You've got to look into Light in the Attic. So they find all these, and they reissue great albums, like maybe, I'm trying to think some stuff that you would probably know. I'll have a ponder, a cogitation. I shall cogitate. I'm going to cogitate whilst talking.
Okay, gosh.
So Light in the Attic put it out as this compilation. So that's what it is, and people really dig it. Like people like you, people like Gideon Coe at the Six Music.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know me, music is my first love, so it's nice. And I do it on Mixcloud, because Mixcloud, thank God for Mixcloud.
Because you can play songs on there.
You can use licensed music. Yeah. It's ostensibly you're doing a radio show. Yeah,
Mixcloud's great. I did a little thing on there for a while. It's good.
It's, if you want to do a music podcast, because you can do, I think you can do podcasts and you can use music up until about 20 seconds. You can't use any more because it's licensed. And Mixcloud's a bit like, I guess, the iPlayer, isn't it? How you can just, you stream it.
Yeah,
and
they cover all the royalties and
cover all the
things.
costs. And so it's mixcloud.com/Mr. Douglas Anderson, or it's the latest episode is pinned as a tweet. At Douglas Chats. I'm
going to retweet it.
That'd be really nice.
And during the next ad break in a couple of minutes, I'm going to retweet it.
And it's got old audio stuff. Me talking to Idris Elba about African funk. What's the audio on this? It's got me. Trying to tell a Spice Girl that she should definitely work with the Beastie Boys.
Oh, really? Which Spice Girl? Mel C.
Mel C.
I love Mel C. I love Mel C. I'm genuinely excited the Spice Girls are getting back together, because my youngest boy loves the Spice Girls. Loves them. And I took him to see a Spice Girls tribute at a theatre in High Wycombe. And it was one of the...
How old's your boy now?
6. Wow. It was one of the tensest evenings of my life, because we were like the only blokes there, apart from, but it's only the only heterosexual gentleman. But it was primarily hen nights. It was hen nights everywhere, and it kicked off. The Spice Girls had to leave the stage at one point because it was getting and the lights came on and there was a fight going on.
I've just thought of a semi-interesting conversational topic. Has it ever been a band as big as that who have only released one, what you would call, successful album?
Yeah.
Because their second album did...
No, they had two successful albums, and then the third one kind of was on the turn.
Was it. So they did a bit of an oasis, didn't they?
They had Spice and Spice World.
Right, so Spice World was the second
one.
Right.
So they were.
So did that have good? Thank you very much.
I think that was on there. But then
I think that was a number 2. I think that was the first. I think that was their first single. I'm going to ignore that. The first single
you're
not
well
to go
advised.
to number 1. I may be wrong.
But then I found out that they had hits after all of that, and my boys got the Spice Girls' greatest hits, and when Jerry left, they still had hits. Holla. Holla, 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 come on.
Nobody's ganting for that down the youth club.
My boy was singing it, and it's all about "Let me take you to my fantasy room."
Oh, God.
Outrageous.
You okay? You're right. Just take it easy.
Okay.
Take it easy.
Mal has tweeted before we go to Andre.
Mal Kennedy, is it the neighbours character? No.
I went to see the Rolling Stones at Slane Castle in Ireland in 1982 when I was 18. I was not a fan really, but was told by older rock mates that this was the last time they would probably tour.
Yeah.
Lol. I enjoyed John Cougar Mellencamp and the Jay Giles Band that day more so. Go figure. It's a strange one.
You started the show with Dylan, and you've recently got into Dylan.
Only just got into him. Years of trying.
Yeah. You've read Chronicles, which we spoke about off-air.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to think we're friends off-air, as well as on.
Yes, I think so.
and that's a good book.
Yeah.
I like the fact, what it does, that's a good thing, it's not just Bob Dylan's life started here, and he talks about it. Kind of jumps around.
Oh, I
doesn't
like
it?
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do like
which makes for a better read.
No Direction Home, of course. The
Scorsese.
Well, it's not really Scorsese.
No, he's kind of used a lot of D.A. Pennebaker.
Well, no, it's not even that. Someone else made the documentary, but couldn't really get it released. So Scorsese said, "Oh, I'll buy it off
so you put the name of Scorsese on it. It's a showbiz trick.
Yeah, I was just, but that's good. But I like my favourite Dylan periods are 69 through 74.
Yeah,
75. And also the late 90s up into the 2010s.
Right.
Yeah, I like old Dylan.
So you like Must Be Santa.
Must be Santa. Andre's on the line. Good evening, Andre.
Evening.
Yes?
Right, I'd just like to have a quick word with the fella, ask him a few dopey questions, if that's okay.
Oh, where you go. You speak to the fella.
Well, am I the fella?
You're the fella.
Oh, gosh.
In this
Yeah,
scenario.
hiya. First question, do you like haggis?
Well,
I do. Yeah.
but here's the thing. Here's the
love it
thing.
as well.
Here's the
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
I like haggis, and every
Beautiful, yeah, lovely.
every year
Yes,
there'll be like
brilliant.
jokes on.
Boiled, fried, sorry.
Can you shut up, Andre?
go on.
There'll be like jokes on Emmerdale and the Archers about, oh, you've got. I don't want to eat haggis. It's bloody. Haggis is delicious. I don't get what the.
It's lovely.
Please shut up, Andre. Please shut up.
Sorry, I'll fancy one now.
It gives me indigestion, though. It gives me heartburn.
Yeah, well, you know.
You meant
Please.
to cut the horns off. No, next question.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's my first question,
All right,
yeah?
If it's another vaguely racist one, I will.
It's not going to be
cut you off.
about when was the last time you tossed your cable or something like that, is it?
Right, the next one. You know, you were talking about a hen night or something at the Spice Girls.
Yes.
I would just like to ask the gentleman, has he ever been to a cock do? Not a hen night, a cock do.
Okay, thanks very much. I mean, I don't know what to say. I am mortified.
I don't blame the Cockneys as a race, but you always
embarrassed.
You always get one littermongerer in the pack, don't you?
This studio is my house. You're the guest in my house, and the callers are in many ways my children. And my children have basically come and soiled their nappies in front of you.
Just thinking again to off mic, something we were talking about.
Have you been to a cock do?
Not this week. You were watching some Limmy when I came in. And Limmy does his. I mean, as you know, some people might not know that.
Yeah.
I'm not a big computer guy. I'm not, you know. But he streams. He streams
playing
himself
video
playing,
games, yeah.
And I think you should do the same because you are passionate about your video games.
Yeah.
As one of the ex-presenters of a computer game.
Well, this is
on Channel 4.
what is going to be happening.
And I think you should do it because I would watch that even though I'm not into...
I am... my bosses here have very kindly allowed me, in March, I am leaving Talk Radio to become a professional video game streamer. And I am confident that I can make £50,000 in the first 6 months. And I urge everybody to go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/rabbithole. And
Hold on, you're leaving this show?
Leaving this show.
What, for good?
Yeah.
Really? When?
March.
Oh, it's a good job I popped in February, isn't it?
Isn't it just? 0344 499 1000. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio.
Late night conversation worth losing sleep over. The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
An update from Mal. It wasn't John Cougar Mellencamp. It was George Thorogood and the Destroyers. So that left an impression. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio. You can listen to us on DAB, download the app, or go to talkradio.co.uk. You can watch us as well, streaming from my phone because I brought all of the wrong leads because I'm a knob.
Oh,
There's my lead. What the heck? What the heck? WTF? And I only just found out what the F stands for. Would have been using that. So we'll set that up in a bit then. We'll set that up in a bit, guys. High quality.
What's that for? What are the leads for?
The lead is for... We're going to stream...
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a YouTube live stream, is it?
We're going to stream at YouTube.
Right.
And it's going to be... With that... Actually, I might not have the other... There we go. With that lead, I can stream it in HD, which stands for hard definition.
Yeah.
As opposed to streaming it from my telephone.
Hey, do you know what? I sometimes pop on YouTube and I see you know, the live rabbit hole gigs that you and Catherine do. Very funny. I think you're very funny together. I think Catherine's very funny.
She's brilliant, isn't she?
She's very funny. You're obviously have a track record in humour, in the humour department. And yeah,
Kath's funny.
it. Yeah.
Kath is not a confident performer, and yet she's the funniest person I know by a country mile.
I know, but Anne Bancroft, right?
Yeah.
She did not like. Do you remember when she was on the Terry Wogan show?
No.
Oh gosh, I bet that's on YouTube. I have never seen someone be so nervous being interviewed as himself. So she's a great performer, of course. The classic actor/actress thing about I can play a part, but the minute I have to be myself. And you could see her sort of melting on the Wogan couch.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying Kath would melt if she was being interviewed by an Irishman in general.
Yes,
Perhaps the first chap who...
Mal.
Well,
Eamon Holmes works in now, so maybe Eamon Holmes could do it.
Oh, I like Eamon, as you know.
I like him. I'm a big fan of Eamon's.
Yeah,
big fan of Eamon's.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Tony Hendra coming on the show after 11.
Yes, most famous to many as the manager in Spinal Tap.
Yeah, we've had him on before, and we had very rarely do we get guests back. It's only people that he was so captivating.
I've been on 3 times now.
I know, but you're so captivating. No, but you can come on any time you want. You know that
because I'm
captivating. No, because you're a mate, and because we met, of course, doing Rise.
Yeah,
I think that's where we met. Wasn't it? We met when I was a guest on Rise.
Yeah, we did, and you'd gone to the wrong place. It was
yes.
And I remember thinking, because I was a big fan of the 11 o'clock show, you and the 11 o'clock show, and you always laughed. And I did say this to you on one of our first meetings. I liked the way you walked out and you did something with your...
Yeah, you always had to do something with that.
And I remember thinking, oh God, this Iain Lee character, I bet he's a real hard boiler of an egg.
Yes.
And you were so nice. And I suddenly became aware that you still are one of the few people I can talk to about the minutiae of comedy, of film, of music, stuff that there aren't many people that I can have conversations with about, well, certainly in the early days of Arrested Development, but various albums, various musicians, various... Do you know what I was thinking about? Just going back to our old pal Limmy.
Yeah.
Right,
who is one of the funniest people in the world.
Absolutely. He is still... I remember I did that interview with Frankie Boyle and we talked about Limmy and how the BBC Scotland should just let him do whatever he wants.
He's got a new series.
He's doing his homemade
show,
which I can't wait to see.
Which is all done, apparently.
But I was thinking about... yes, he's Scottish and he's got his very sort of broad Scottish accent and all that, but the comedy is totally universal and brilliant. And it makes me feel, as a Scottish person, I haven't felt like that for a Scottish comedy since probably Absolutely. Oh. And it absolutely was... They played up the Scottishness and a lot of things, but it was totally universal and brilliant and interesting and intelligent comedy.
A couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, on a Sunday night, I was invited to be a guest on a panel show.
I like the way you've started this because it started in a hushed tone, and what you've done is you haven't said it, but basically you've said, Come in a bit closer.
Come closer.
Put the marshmallow down for a second.
Yeah,
if you've got a blanket, just tighten it around yourself. And
so I did. I don't really like doing panel shows, but it was a nice one for Radio 4.
Well, it's Radio 4, so there's an element of quality.
It was hosted by Gabby Roslin, who I love.
Right.
And
was it sports related?
No, it was movie related. And John Thompson was one of the team captains. Yeah. And woman Ellie. Comedian, I can't remember her last name. But the thing that got me was the producer was Gordon Kennedy.
Wow.
From Absolutely.
Right.
And so I was in there and I was chatting to Gabby, and then suddenly I was aware that Gordon Kennedy was striding over, and I got all nervous. I used to love Absolutely.
Yeah, Gordon Kennedy, who I think does the voiceover for Ramsay's, the American Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares or something, but I think he's done the voice. Yeah, but Absolutely was... I remember meeting Jack Docherty once. And
you weren't on the Jack Docherty show. You didn't do things on that.
No.
Okay.
And but because he's from Edinburgh, as is Murray Hunter, and I know you love Scottish football. Yeah, but Jack Docherty is, as I am, a Hibs fan.
Yeah.
And I had the first ever Hibs scarf I was ever given in 1983. It doesn't have to be a football card. It's just green and white. It's a nice scarf. And he went, "Is that a Hibs scarf?" And I went, "Well, it is actually, yeah."
Aye.
And I got to say to him, absolutely. When I was at school, it was just my favourite show. Thank you for remember the nice family,
Yeah,
mother, that kind of the way he spoke and all that, and using voices, and it's kind of the way Limmy does.
It's very, very good
It's the way Limmy does, because every time I hear Malcolm,
Yeah.
I always think, mother, and,
Limmy gives the best value on Twitter. No one gives
it's
value
incredible.
like he does.
He kind of restored my faith in sort of comedy, because you know when you're sort of it's like a good song. You kind of think, oh, is anything else going to come along and make me want to go? That is just brilliant.
Yeah.
And when you're not I think you can enjoy comedy a lot more when you're not a comedian.
Yeah.
You're funny. You're not a stand-up.
No, God,
comedian as such.
no.
I can raise a laugh from top to top, but I'm not a stand-up. So we watch comedy in the way that some comedians don't, because there's a bit of a jealousy factor. So you can just watch it and just enjoy it for what it is. And Limmy's stuff is just... I love how he's still putting out Malcolm stuff. That was never really in the TV shows, wasn't it? Malcolm. It's newer stuff.
I posted on the Talk Radio listeners fan page that you were coming on.
Yeah.
Martin Larrieux has posted.
Martin Larry who?
Martin Larrieux. Well, L-A-R...
Larrieux.
I-O-U-S. Larios.
I like the sound of his name, but I like the cut of his jib.
You're going to love his jib.
Okay.
It's cut perfectly. He's posted underneath, Dougie Anderson, probably the most underrated comedian around IMO, in my opinion. Yeah, it's true.
Well, yeah, I'm not really a comedian,
Well,
I guess.
Again, I'll point to Martin Larrieux.
Yeah, sure.
Who says
No,
you are.
do you know what? I think the best description would be, do you know that great scene in 24-Hour Party People when Tony Wilson is showing round his wife-to-be, I guess, who's I think Miss United Kingdom or something, and she goes, oh, and he does this, and he does... And she goes, and what do you do? He goes, well, I'm Tony Wilson. I think that's just the best thing. I'm Douglas Anderson.
We can have a break, and if you want to speak to Dougie's here until 11. We've got busy nights now. We've got Tony Hendra at 11. We might have Stephen Page from the Bare Naked Ladies at midnight. I'm waiting for an email.
We just want to dance the night away.
No,
with
that's
senoritas.
That's the
who
Gypsy
can
Kings,
say.
isn't it? Los Lobos.
No, I thought it was the Bare Naked Ladies.
It's not the Bare Naked Ladies. Just wanna dance the night away
with the senoritas who can say.
That's Los Lobos, the Mavericks. Is
that Los Lobos?
It's the Mavericks. That's it.
The Maverick. That's
the
it.
Mavericks. Yes. Bare Naked Ladies.
So we've got Los Lobos coming on with the Bare Naked Ladies and the Mavericks. They're touring. It's the new Lollapalooza.
We're hoping one of these bands did the song "I Just Want to Dance the Night Away." That's why we booked all three. We couldn't remember which one it was, so we've got all three of them.
Mavericks, of course, famous for many hit singles. A bit like Crowded House, you know more Mavericks songs than you think.
Well, you know more Maverick songs than Bare Naked Ladies songs. 0344 499 1000. This is Talk Radio.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
0344 499 1000 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Dougie Anderson is here. Tell us again your podcast, please.
Oh, okay. It's the public service broadcast. It's a music podcast with me chatting throughout. Find it on mixcloud.com/Mr. Douglas Anderson, or as a pinned tweet as ever.
Yes.
At Douglas Chats. Or you've just tweeted about
I just tweeted
you
it.
Kind man.
How many are you doing? How often do you do this?
Fortnightly. The first two series were 6 in a series, and I do every albums of the year as well. But I think I might go up to 8.
Really?
And the series might go up all the way to 8.
It's fun that you can do these kind of things now at home. Obviously you'll be doing it at home. You've got a little
I've got a nice little
studio
mic,
set up and you do it there.
Yeah.
They are a good listen. I tell you I like it because you know what you're talking about. And I like hearing, despite what some people might think that we are tired of experts, I like hearing knowledgeable people. I find that exciting.
Yeah, I know. It's
passionate more than knowledgeable, perhaps, even though you're both.
Yeah. Well, as someone once said, I am the guy who reads the back of album covers.
Yes. and why not?
I also read the front. No, thank you. That's really nice of you to say.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's too esoteric.
No, not
and
at all.
It's quite inclusive.
Yeah.
But you know what I was thinking of as well? You started off the show with Dylan, and I adored Theme Time Radio Hour.
Yeah, the few I've heard were great.
Just terrific. And I think that was an influence on me, actually, for the public service broadcast. That kind of It's not going, because the great thing is, even though it's sort of a radio show format, you're not going, coming up it's the news, after that we'll be playing the Mavericks, and after that we've got a live phono with the Bare Naked Ladies. You can just talk about something and then play into a song and just go on a bit of a flight of fancy and then have an audio of Brian Jones.
But because there's no, wouldn't it be? I know, wouldn't it be nice if there were some radio shows that did that? You know, this is what we try and do with this show a little bit. Is it's tangents, it's flights of fancy, it's celebratory instead of the usual late night phone-in radio tropes, stroke memes. Don't know the difference of Muslims and Brexit and Trump. Is we try and celebrate stuff, and it would be nice if there were more just knowledgeable.
I'd love to do it.
Radio.
I'd love to do it as a radio show. I mean, as I say, it's ostensibly a radio show at the moment, but it'd be great to have that scope and just to get to as many people.
But there's no music stations that I can think of. Six Music, possibly the exception. That want passionate, knowledgeable.
Do you know
broadcasters.
What? Do you know what? There's a great radio station in France called FIP. FIP.
Oh, I don't know that.
Oh, you've honestly give it a shot.
Okay.
It's got no adverts.
Yeah.
And because things are funded differently in France, they take their art and culture a little bit more seriously, even though only about 1% of the population are really into the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know that, like, Serge Gainsbourg is one of my all-time heroes.
Yes.
And, if you've got nothing to do this weekend, go out and buy or listen to Vue de l'Extérieur, the album he did after Melody Nelson, which is just as good, maybe better.
Yeah.
L'Homme à tête de chou, which, here's something.
Yeah.
In my speech at my wedding, I actually mentioned L'Homme à tête de chou, the Serge Gainsbourg.
Serge Gainsbourg is kind of like the French Johnny Hallyday, isn't he?
I'd say he's like the French John Lennon.
Oh.
He's totally misunderstood in the UK.
Yeah. And
people who have heard of him a lot of time, they only know him for being on the talk show with Whitney Houston when he said he wanted to F her.
What?
And he is a genius. Going from that early chanson period into the beat stuff he did in the 60s, then, of course, the amazing orchestrated pop, and then his reggae period. And all his soundtrack stuff is incredible. Yeah. Oh, my goodness, his soundtrack work. I'd love to make a documentary on Serge Gainsbourg for the English-speaking populace. But I thank you for saying that about the pod. I really, that's because you're kind of like my go-to. You are my audience in a way, because you're the guy who I know has watched Head by the Monkees, who is into really good music, but always kind of wants to find out.
I do, but
as
I get older, I'm aware that my focus is actually quite narrow.
You cannot let age be a barrier for music taste.
Exactly, but this is the thing, and thank you for putting it in such a passionate way, is that the older I get, the more I realise actually my focus is very narrow. It's white pop, primarily.
If you had to list some of your favourite artists, bands or solo artists, I mean, Monkees, Nesmith, solo.
I would put those together. I'd put that.
Okay, so that'd be okay. Who else is in that top bracket?
Beach Boys.
Yeah.
I tell you who's in there. Imani Coppola, who I'm a big fan of. I'm going to do an Imani Coppola mixtape because she's brilliant. She's New York pop, rock, funk.
Yeah.
Little bit rude. She has bad language in her songs. I don't know what your views on that. XTC. Very white pop.
Yeah.
Primarily.
I've just thought of something I was doing quite recently that you might be interested in.
Oh, yeah.
I think I said this to you off air as well. I've got my first ever motion picture credit.
Yes, this is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movies.
So this is a film. Did you ever see a film called The Imposter? Now, it came out about 3 years ago. Bart Layton directed it. And it won, I think, the BAFTAs, the best British film by a first-time director. And it went down really well.
What was it
It's called The Imposter, about someone who is basically an imposter pretending to be someone he isn't. So I don't want to give too much away because it's really worth watching.
Hang on,
it's a kid that went missing.
We had the cop, the private eye that investigated that on the show.
So Bart Layton directed it.
Yeah,
and it went down really well here, Europe, and America.
Yeah.
And his new film is called American Animals. Again, using that similar sort of based on a true story. Yeah. About this heist, these students that did this heist to steal these very, very expensive art books in America. And it's got, so the film has got Evan Peters in it, Blake Jenner, Barry Keoghan, who's in Dunkirk, Anne Dowd is in it.
I don't know that.
And it went to went to Sundance in January and went down a storm.
Yeah.
It's playing at South by Southwest, and it's getting released in America on June the 1st. It's a really good film, and I was the music consultant.
What does that mean?
So I worked with Bart, the director, and so they've got someone doing the score, but they want songs in it, various bits of music.
Like I heard it through the grapevine by Marvin Gaye. If someone was talking about grapes or secrets, you'd go, oh.
Well, you don't have to go too literal. You don't have to go too literal, but. More like, Monkey Man being played, the great Stones tune from Let It Bleed in Goodfellas, for instance.
Yes.
But anyway, so I worked with Bart, and he'd say, oh God, what songs do I use here? I'd be like, well, try to use these songs.
Wow, what a gig.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But honestly, the film is terrific, and Bart's such a great director. And he was like, you've got to come and work on this film with me. And it was...
Yeah, you got paid for that. That's incredible.
Yeah,
well done,
It's cool, like to have, to be in an emotion picture like that. It's I know it's not cool to say that was really cool. Yeah, but come on,
who cares?
Cool. But I keep thinking now of that brilliant Day-to-Day sketch. Coogan, cool. Is this cool? Cool is it? Cool am I? Cool am I?
You'll never be cool, but you're cool to me.
What me?
Sorry.
Well, come on.
Hey. You're going to be an uncle, like, in about 20 minutes, aren't you?
Well, I don't know when... Well, no. The due date for my brother's wife, or as I like to call her, my sister-in-law, was a couple of days ago, and it's not happened yet. So it's exciting times.
Is this your first time as an uncle?
I'm an uncle already to my wife's sister's children, but this is, I guess...
You don't want to call her your sister-in-law?
My sister-in-law's children, but this is my brother. So this is like the first time being a blood uncle. Is that the right terminology?
Blood uncle is an unpleasant phrase, but yes, they will contain your DNA in there.
Yeah, so that's exciting. That's it. My mother is asking for you, as ever.
Well, send my love to your mum. I think she's a fabulous, very kind, sweet person.
But back to the music, we must go.
Yeah.
So we went through your top brackets.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've been watching some decent music documentaries of late. You still haven't seen Dig, have you? Or have you?
That's what Dig is.
Oh, you have. I thought
I was communicating with Anton
Newcombe,
and he was going to come on the show. It never happened.
Oh, that would have been great.
We are out of time.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's sad.
No, it is sad. Tony Hendra is coming on at 11, but come in again. And come and stay for the whole show if you want.
I would love that. I would love that.
That would be nice.
I would find great joy
because it goes too quickly.
That's because it would be nice to talk to more people.
Yeah,
and it'd be nice for us to tackle not just the big but some of the smaller issues as well.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. We'll do that next time. Send me a text. Seriously, you come in anytime you want.
No, I'll come in a couple of weeks.
Dougie, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
The name of the podcast one more time, please.
The Public Service Broadcast. It's on Mixcloud. You don't even have to. It's free. It's free. As Anton Newcombe said, the Beatles were for sale. I'm giving it away.
There you go, you see. Do stay tuned, dear listener. Coming up after 11, we've got Tony Hendra, who was on the show, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I had such a gas talking to him that he's going to come on and talk primarily about Spinal Tap and Spitting Image. So put your phones down. Don't let I can steer this ship. Back after this. Thank you.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Tonight we're gonna
That's a song, isn't it? This bit's great. Absolutely ridiculous, wonderful, and as someone who was a fan of Kiss for quite a long time, you know, that's actually quite subdued compared to some of their lyrics. Anybody? A few weeks ago, we had Tony Hendra on, and it was kind of on my mind because I'd seen this really interesting movie, slightly flawed but interesting movie on Netflix about National Lampoon and kind of the genesis of that, and it got me thinking about Tony. And I emailed him and read his book Father Joe, and he came on and we talked for ages and ages, and it was wonderful and it was brilliant. And then afterwards, he said, that was great. We didn't really talk much about Spinal Tap or Spitting Image. I said, sir, come back again. Let's spend an hour talking about those, because I could listen to him all night. Tony's on the line again. Hello, Tony.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. You've come back for more.
Yeah, I know. I haven't heard that song for a long time. It's really awful.
I quite like it. Right, for those who don't know, Tony Hendra, satirist and writer and all kinds of things. But for the purpose of this, you played the manager in the movie Spinal Tap, which is one of the funniest films of all time.
I agree with that.
It's great.
And I played this character's name was Iain Faith.
Iain Faith. That was it. Right. And how? Right. Oh, let's go to the beginning there. How did? Because you knew Christopher Guest from I keep wanting to say Spitting Image, from National Lampoon. How did you get involved with the movie, and what was kind of the genesis of the movie?
Well, I mean, if I want to blow my own trumpet a bit, I would say that the genesis, the ultimate genesis, the baseball of super energy that was the Big Bang.
Yes.
Was actually this show that Christopher was in, that I produced for the Lampoon, called Lemmings.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we talked about Lemmings last time. I've got a very
we did. We did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but one of the Lemmings was basically a full-scale takeoff of Woodstock, for those who've never heard of it, and I'm sure many people haven't, which we did at the Lampoon, and was an off-Broadway hit, and it was the first time that I produced it and sort of directed it and sort of co-wrote it and stuff. And the three main people in it were Christopher Guest, Chevy Chase, and John Belushi. And I cast all three of those guys in their first major roles in theatre. So and it was off Broadway, and it ended, Lemmings, with a wild rock extravaganza by a group which we called Megadeth. And this was like a year before the actual Megadeth arrived, I think, or they were still a very unknown band, so we didn't know about them.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it had this insane heavy metal rock finale in which Christopher actually, there's a shot of him in that. There's a very old video of it, and there's a shot of him in it looking very like Nigel, and playing his Fender, and so I would say that the very, very beginning of Spinal Tap began back there, but then it sort of progressed with Harry Shearer and Michael McKean, who ran a very funny satirical show in Los Angeles in the early 70s called Credibility Gap.
Yeah.
Which took Ronald Reagan apart when he was governor of California, long before he became our first parody of a president.
Yeah.
And we're now on the second one.
Yeah, I know.
And so then they got involved, and then they began sort of spinning this wonderful scenario together about this awful group that began as whatever they began. I've forgotten now. When they were a skiffle group or something. What were they called?
The Thames Men. Was it
the
Thames Men? Yeah,
that's right. I want to say the Journeymen, but I think they were real.
Yeah.
The Thames Men, and so then they roped in Rob Reiner, who was an old friend of mine and an old friend of of all three of these guys, and they were looking for like a guy who could play like sleazy, irresponsible, untrustworthy, kind of character. So Rob called me up one day and said, explained this role, and said, "So why don't you just play yourself?"
Oh,
and that was that was the origin of Ian Pate, and
Am I right in thinking, maybe you don't know, that in a really early incarnation of Spinal Tap, Loudon Wainwright was in them?
Yes, I think he was. The way we went about doing it actually was kind of interesting because there was no script per se. There was just this scenario, which means basically a list of scenes that tell the story, but have a sort of A point and a B point within them, which you have to get to by improvising it. But anyway, that's all there was. And it's very hard to sell that to anybody. So the only way we could think of doing it, if you're not going to write a script, was to actually do what you might call a pilot. So we did, in 1979, I think it was, we did a kind of a 20-minute version of Spinal Tap with some of the key scenes in it. I think Loudon was in that actually at that point. I can't remember quite. He played somebody, some rock figure.
I thought he might have been the keyboardist. I think I'm stretching my mind a little bit.
Yeah, that's possible. I knew Loudon, and so that was I wasn't responsible for getting him involved. But anyway, so all the sort of key people like obviously the band and Iain and so forth were in that pilot, and it was based on that pilot that they eventually sold it to Norman Lear, who ran a very famous TV producer, who at that point was running a small studio called Tandem.
Yeah,
and that's how he actually took a big bet on it, that this would work full length, and that's how it got made.
Why were they English? Because it's a stroke of genius, and when I first saw it, when I was, I guess, 13, 14 years old, I thought they were English actors, and, it was a few years later, I found out they were Americans, because, American people can't do British accents, but those guys pulled it off perfectly.
Yeah, well, I think Chris obviously is half British, so, and he was also a brilliant voice guy anyway, so he could do practically any accent you wanted him to do. He may have coached them. I don't know the secret tale behind that. Yeah, but he may have coached the other two. But he and Michael were very close, and Michael's also a brilliant actor, so I'm sure he just picked up on Chris's. Basically, they have the same accent. They've all copied one another, basically. So, and it's all the same accent. So, but it's very convincing, I must say.
Oh, it's spot on.
I think the perception was that the truly ridiculous sort of heavy metal bands were British, which I'm not sure is fair. But it would make it much funnier if they were these dumb Brits.
And how was it? How was it improvised? Because obviously, it couldn't all been improvised in front of the camera. Well, there must have been rehearsals and things beforehand to kind of get a sense of the characters and a sense of where it was going to go.
No, actually not.
Really?
We didn't rehearse anything. No.
Wow.
And I mean, we all knew very well what the scene said.
Yeah.
What the given scene said, and where you had to go in it. Like, I don't know, the scene, when they're launching the album, and I have my scene with Bobby Fleckman. I know that she's going to dump all over the album and hate the cover and that kind of stuff, but because that's all in the scenario. But actually getting from A to B in that scene was up to us, and so we that was all improvised, and that was basically the way the film was shot. We had a wonderful cameraman who was a documentary filmmaker.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah.
And he had a slave camera that he was always around, and somehow he had this really great instinct for sort of anticipating some great moment, and just throwing his camera on it just at the right moment. Peter something, he was really brilliant. But anyway, so So no, it was improvised from one end to the other, one end to the other, and
that's,
I think
that's how Larry David, of course, does Curb Your Enthusiasm. You know, it's the actors have, you know, they know the start of the scene and they know where they need to get to, and then you just kind of he turns on the. How did you find that? Because in one sense that's incredibly freeing, but in another sense, did you feel a pressure to be funny?
What, you mean that Larry David copied us?
Well, I think he might have done. Loads of people. Ricky Gervais copied you afterwards.
Steal from the best, my motto. Steal from the best.
Yeah, everyone copied you after. Ricky Gervais, loads of people copied you after that.
Yeah, it is true. It's true. So, but now I've dumped on your question. I'm sorry.
No. Well, did you feel a pressure to be funny? You know, and did you kind of start off going in there cracking gags, and someone and you know you taken to one side going, hey, no, just play it straight. How did you do it?
No, well, no. I mean, I think I was terrified because I'd never done any improvisation at all. And in fact, I a couple of times when people had asked me to do improvisation, I said, I can't do that. I mean, when I went to Second City one night, or rather, I went to Second City one night, and they said, come up on the stage and improvise with us. And I said, I can't. I wouldn't. No, I can't. I mean, my eyes were bleeding. And it was. I was terrified.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that, and if you sort of prepare things, it always shows somehow.
Right.
And especially if it's a joke. Like there's one moment in it, for example, when Billy Crystal, who I think was probably just as scared about improvising as I was, because he's a comedian. He's in a very careful performer.
Yeah.
But he had this line where he, remember he's doing the mime waiters at that same scene?
Mime is money.
Serving. Yeah. And he had this line, remember, mime is money. And I always thought that stuck out. I mean, it's a clever line, but I always thought it stuck out as kind of no, I don't think anyone would have come up with that if they were improvising.
Yeah.
And it's, anyway, so it's, So really, what we did was we got into the scene, and then just these hilarious characters and responding to them. That all produced the comedy. I mean, it was the chemistry of the characters really that did it. I remember when the thing in Boston is cancelled.
Yeah.
And they just looked so sort of dumb and like, Iain, tell us what's happening, And it just came into my mind that I had to lie really well.
Yeah.
Yes. And so they'd go to sleep happy. Sort of Auntie Iain kind of attitude. And that's where I came up with the line, I wouldn't worry, Boston isn't a big college town,
Yeah.
And it just came out. It came out of the situation. It wasn't a prepared line or anything like that.
Okay, things like the cricket bat then. How did the cricket, the wonderful, your prop as a manager, how did that come about?
Well, actually, I added the cricket bat as far as I recall. I think I had the cricket bat as early as the pilot.
Right.
I brought it to the shoot, and I basically told Rob I thought it would look. There was some guy who had a baseball bat or something. I don't know if it's one of the awful English guys like Arden or those people.
Yeah, Don Arden, wasn't it? I think
was he had a baseball bat or an iron bar or something.
He was the guy that hung someone out of a window by their feet, allegedly.
Yeah, right. Robert Stigwood, I think it was.
Right. Well, right. Yeah. Manager of the Bee Gees.
And tried shake the money out of his pockets. But it's. But anyway, somebody had some kind of implement with which they intimidated people. So I showed up at the shoot with a cricket bat, and I thought that would be. We just put it on the desk and not mention it at all, and and eventually get to it, and then I'd explain what it was for. And there were actually a lot of times that I used it in the shoot. Which didn't make it to the movie. I threatened people with it, hit things with it, broke up dressing rooms with it, and all kinds of stuff. And the only one that got through was the one where I'm throttling the student guy.
Part of the genius of the film, and I think part of the genius of any film, and it always gets overlooked, is the editing. The editing, I think, because you can have shot some of the most amazing stuff in the world, but it's the editing that I think the magic kind of gets sprayed on it. And of course, there is, and I had it on VHS, on 3 VHS tapes years ago. There is a sort of 6.5 hour uncut, or very rough edit version that has been going around. Did you see that 6.5 hour version of it?
Actually, no. I really couldn't sit through it, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a bit ropey.
But I've heard about it, and yeah, I mean, they took when they did the director's cut in whenever it was the late 90s. They included a number of things from that, including the shot where I throttle the kid, because that wasn't in the original. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think there were 400,000 feet of film that Rob shot. And it wasn't that we did a lot of takes of things. It's just that there were an awful lot of scenes, and they couldn't sort of throw anything away because they didn't know what was on it. But I would be very surprised. I think it was Harry Shearer said there's probably somebody did. Maybe it wasn't Harry because he wasn't happy with the movie. He's never happy with anything. Oh. But one of the cast said there's probably another. Maybe it was Rob who said there's probably another movie in there. Yeah. It's still the same movie, but it would be from a different perspective.
Why was Harry not happy with the movie? And that's interesting you say that, because I know that Derek Smalls is doing the rounds, doing interviews at the moment. Not Harry. Derek Smalls is being put up for interviews because I think he's got an album.
I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of that.
But he didn't like the movie.
Well, Harry's sort of a perfectionist. I mean, he has this radio show with he's got every single up-to-the-date piece of equipment. I mean, he's one of those kind of tape heads that is just he's very meticulous, and I don't think I think he thought he could have done a better job than Rob.
Right. Okay.
But because it was Rob's first movie, so what does he know, really? And of course, Rob did an absolutely brilliant job of pulling that story together. But yeah, I know about that Derek Smalls thing. Actually, when Derek Smalls announced that, he said that he looks back fondly on everything about Spinal Tap except Iain.
Oh, fantastic! I'll ask him about that.
And so I've actually. I think I told you on the first time around that I've actually kept Iain alive, and Iain is now actually Surrey, and he lives in Tonga.
And what's Iain doing these days?
Well, he's doing a lot of things, but I'm actually what I did was I did on my own radio show, the Final Edition Radio Hour. I did an interview about the heinous crime of Derek Smalls throwing shade at Iain, to whom the band owes its colossal success, and so anyway, I did a little interview with Iain, which then becomes a sort of whole Iain story about what he's been doing since Tap. I'll send it to you. Maybe you'd like to listen. Yeah,
I would love to listen. We will play a bit of it. Yeah. Someone on Twitter, Kyra, is saying on Twitter, I was listening to a podcast last week when Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates said Tony gave him the cricket bat from Spinal Tap. Did you give the cricket bat to Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates?
Yes.
Did you?
I gave it to him for Christmas.
How fantastic is that?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. I was expecting that to be complete bullshine from someone on Twitter, as you often get. But that was a lovely little.
No, not at all. I was very lucky to run into Daryl last year.
Yeah.
Charleston, South Carolina, actually, where he lives.
Yeah.
And we hit it off, and he said he was a huge Tap fan, and we sat down in his very sort of mansion-like apartment, and watched Spinal Tap. And,
wow!
Together, which was just fantastic. It was,
what's Daryl Hall's favourite bit from Spinal Tap?
Well, he's got a lot of them. I mean, everyone loves Stonehenge, but I don't know. I think he likes the backstage stuff.
Right.
That he finds really funny.
The favourite scene for me is the Good Evening Cleveland, where they're lost and they can't find the stage, and it just goes on a little bit too long. It's so delicious. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah. No, that's certainly everybody. He and his guitarist was a guy called Shane Terrio, I think.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't there. But anyway, that's one of their favourite scenes. But the backstage scene that I like and that we were falling around at is my favourite, which is the backstage scene when Nigel has the big plate of food.
Oh God, yeah.
And the meat won't go properly in the bread.
Yeah.
And I want bigger bread. And it's like, I think that's my favourite Iain scene. Iain he's like really, really being very careful with this moron and his bread and his bits of meat, but he knows that his moron is his ticket.
Yeah.
So he's got to make sure this moron isn't upset or won't go on stage or something.
It's like you're looking after kids.
At his finest.
It's like you're looking after toddlers, and you play it beautifully. That thing, that your job is to basically wipe their asses because they are so thick they can't do it
change
themselves.
Their diapers, exactly. Yeah.
Were you? How long were you filming for? And how long were you filming for first? Because I imagine it was quite an involved filming process.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was actually quite a short shoot. I think it was about 4 weeks. And there was a lot of preparation for it in terms of, setting up various scenes, like that had to be set up, like the Graceland scene or, those kind of scenes. But the basic shoot was quite swift. There was some pickup stuff later, but it was all very compressed,
and
which was good.
A slow burner when it was released. Were you guys? What were you expecting? And and compared to what it got in terms of reception, were you disappointed?
Well, honestly, Ian, I would have said if you were interviewing me, like right now, and it's about to come out, I would have said we really did this for ourselves.
Yeah.
It was just huge fun, and obviously, which shows.
Yeah.
But there was also the timing of it. I think was impeccable in the sense that it was a moment, right at the turn of the 80s, when this wonderful music, that we'd all been in love with at one point, and we actually thought might change the world, stupidly.
Yeah.
But had been exploited and corrupted and sort of enlarged way beyond its capacity to please, and just the whole thing had kind of turned to shit,
Mm.
And in different ways, everybody in that movie felt the same way.
Mm.
And so the satire, I think, is not just of the music, the satire of the industry, and including me, but also, Artie Pupkin and all the other sort of creeps and sleazebags that turned rock into the mess that it became.
Yeah.
It was just the perfect moment to put that together, and it all came out. I mean, it all came out of us sort of spontaneously. This sort of disappointment, in a way, that we turned into sort of satirical parody. I'm not sure whether it's parody or satire, but it doesn't really matter. I think that's. I'm getting a bit serious about it, but I think that's actually why it was so satisfying. And if it had never gone anywhere, I would be just as proud of it.
And I can't think of any. What was it? 82 that it came out, something like that. 82, 83.
It came out. We shot it in 82. And it came out in 84. It took that long to edit.
And I can't think of any other movies from 84 that we're still talking about. I'm sure there are. If I googled it, I could find a couple. But it still looks modern. It still looks fresh. Whereas a lot of mid 80s comedies look absolutely terrible now. They date awfully. And it's still funny. You know, every gag still hits the mark, even 34 years later on, which is incredible.
Yeah. Well, I can't say I'm not going to contradict you.
No.
So don't expect me to contradict you.
No. Ian, listen. Ian, I'm doing it now. Look. If only. Tony, stay there. We're going to take a break, then we'll come back. And
Okay.
I want to talk about Spinal Tap. I also want to talk about your radio show podcast thing that you do. So stay there for a little bit. Tony Hendra, live on the phone. Live from New York City. I'm Iain Lee. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio.
It's electric, it's eclectic, it's always rule-free. It's the Late Night Alternative with that man, Iain Lee. On Talk Radio.
Tony Hendra was on a few weeks ago. Satirist, actor, producer, and I got on so well with him that I would. I thought we'd have him back on again. Tony's on the line from New York City. Are you in New York City? I say that. I don't know if you are in New York City.
Yeah, I'm in New York City looking at the Hudson River.
Beautiful. Tell us about this radio show podcast thing that you do, and where we can hear it and what it is.
Okay, well, I mean, it's called the Final Edition Radio Hour.
Yeah.
And it lasts half an hour.
Oh.
And it's a podcast, and it's really a kind of it's kind of a what's the correct term? It's a project that I didn't have to do, but I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Because hadn't been doing radio for a long time, and I love radio. I think radio is the best. Outside of live performance, I think radio is the best comedy medium there is.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. I love it. A late night radio. I chose this late night radio slot, and it's wonderful. You've got people listening in bed. You've got all of the kind of lonely, bewildered, lost people out there. I agree. I think radio's the way forward.
But it's also, and this goes back to the Lampoon. And even beyond, obviously, to the Goon Show. But I mean, the great thing about comedy, sketch comedy and if you will, communal comedy as opposed to stand-up on the radio, is that if you want to put the Pope on Mars with a couple of gorillas making out, you can on radio.
Yeah.
It's easy,
yeah.
right? And if you can't do that, that would cost a fortune on video.
Yeah.
But you can do all kinds of things with sound effects and acting and that engage the imagination of the listener in a way that nothing else does. So video, it seems to me, is too literal a medium for. There's a limit to what you can do with sketches on video.
Yeah.
You can never somehow you can't just go too far, but on the radio you can, and it goes as far as you like actually. And having grown up on the Goons, and then all the other wonderful radio comedy of the 50s and 60s, I mean it was something I've always wanted to get back to. The Lampoon, we did actually have something called the National Lampoon Radio Hour, which was half an hour, and it was one of the more successful things we did. And the albums I did for the Lampoon were heavily produced, both the sketches and the music.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. And I've always loved it. So I wanted to start doing it again, and that's what the Final Edition Radio Hour is. It's highly produced, very brilliant sketches.
So, and how do you do it? What's the setup? Because nowadays, with a decent mic and a computer, you can record a radio show. One of our broadcasters here, he's not well at the moment. He's doing the show from home, and all he's got is a laptop and a microphone. How do you do it? What's your setup to get geeky?
Well, we have to use a studio because it's when you've got 3 or 4 people, around in a sketch. It's a little hard with a computer to get good quality.
Yeah.
So, but we do actually use a studio, but it's nothing elaborate. It's just a booth with which you cram a lot of people in, which makes it a lot more fun, and then do just incredibly rude sketches about the National Rifle Association and the orange thing in the White House, and whatever else might be coming down the pike this week.
It's it's a rich time for satirists, both in this country and in America. And is it true that when you were doing Lampoon and Nixon got elected for a second term, you all kind of celebrated? Even though it was bad for the country, it was great for you guys.
We were the first people to do that. Other people have done that subsequently. But in 1972, we actually launched the National Lampoon a PAC, which is a political action committee, as they're called over here.
Yeah.
And the PAC was to re-elect the Nixon Agnew, basically, and the slogan was "Re-elect them and keep us in business."
Beautiful.
And that's been imitated many, many times since then. But it was a dream. And then, of course, pretty much like within 7 or 8 months, Watergate was in full swing. And we had even more fun than people are having now with the orange thing.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. And we did an entire album which was called the Impeachment Day Parade. It was actually called the White House tapes, which was all sound, obviously, and it was basically the tapes which brought Nixon down. We just re-edited them so he admitted everything.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, and then we did the Impeachment Day celebrations, where the whole nation went crazy. So it's just I have more fun. I have more fun doing that than almost anything else I'm doing. And I wish it could find a bigger audience, but maybe it will through your good services, Iain.
Well, I've just got it on iTunes, and I'm about to tweet to where people can get it. And are you writing it? Have you got a team of writers? How are you putting it together?
Yeah, actually, we've got a team of writers. We've actually got a team of writers and a cast in both Los Angeles and New York. So we have we do alternate weeks. So LA does a show, and that gives us kind of California humor, which is quite different than New York humor, and then we do New York humor, which is also Washington D.C. humor. So there's a nice mix, and then we've now got an enormous archive of. Because we've been doing it for about 5 or 6 years, so we have literally thousands of sketches to pull on if if something comes around in the news that was also in the news in 2012. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a great thing about the news. Nothing really changes. It's always the same. It keeps coming around.
You can hear me typing. It's just because I'm tweeting the link as to where people can find it. So that there you go. It's up on Twitter.
Yeah, it's on something called Acast, which I think is in Britain.
Acast is. I do a little podcast. Catherine and I do a podcast with Acast.
Yeah.
They're a great group of people who.
They're super.
Yeah, they're really good. Spitting Image. I think a lot of people won't know. I know we mentioned it kind of briefly last time. That Spitting Image, it was your idea.
Well, it wasn't my idea. It wasn't just my idea, but I mean, I was in on the sort of beginning of it. I can't remember what I told you last time, but.
Neither can the listeners. They're all pissed and stoned. So even if we repeat stories, it doesn't matter. Those guys don't care.
Right. They won't remember.
No.
It's the actual. My involvement with it actually began again at the National Lampoon because I got to know Roger Law actually, who had friends in New York and made occasional visits here, and then we got to be big friends. And he and Peter Fluck, his partner at that time, were doing these brilliant. Well, they were really editorial cartoons. I think they did them in the Times, if that's possible.
Yeah.
But anyway, what they were these puppets, but they weren't puppets. They were actually statues, I guess you would call them, made of plasticine, which were also incredibly funny caricatures of public figures. And then they would put them in any kind of absurd situation that they felt like, and stick things in them and blow them up and do whatever they did, and photograph the results. And that was what they were doing at that point. So they did something about the then new EU for us in the National Lampoon, which was hugely successful. And then when I left the Lampoon, I don't know how it came up, but we started talking about what we would do with with what they could do, sort of because they were getting towards the end of their reputation as these editorial cartoonists and wanted to go to the next stage. And so we were talking about how to make these puppets, make these figures into actual moving puppets. And at the time, one of the biggest TV shows on the air everywhere was the Muppets, and the Muppets had really kind of refined the whole mechanics and technique of puppetry.
Oh, it's easy to forget that the Muppets in the early 80s were huge, and I loved them because I was a kid. But adults, like Peter Sellers was on there. You know, big stars would go on there. It was a massive show.
Yeah, it was big elsewhere too. It wasn't just in the English-speaking world. It was all over the place.
Wow.
So anyway, but I knew the Muppet. I mean, I knew the Muppet people.
I knew the Muppets. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I knew them. Actually,
me and Kermit were great friends. Yes.
Yeah, me and Big Bird, we used to get high together. But so it was a natural, it's a natural kind of thing to start thinking about doing these, because the Muppets were huge. They weren't like little puppets. They were like 3/4 size humans.
Right. Okay.
A lot of them, and so we had kind of a model to work from. The trick really was to make these caricatures, these brilliant caricatures, still recognizable, but also make them talk. Because obviously the Muppets just have mouths that it's like a glove puppet, right?
Yeah. Just
back and forth. Then you can screw it up, but you can't do much with it. But we had to do, I don't know, Thatcher, I mean, obviously. And Thatcher had a mouth like a snake crawling down a drain. So I mean, how do you do that with a puppet and also make it actually talk? Mm. So it's that was the challenge, and these guys eventually rose to it. And we actually, one of our best puppeteers was a Muppeteer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so then. So you're working with these guys. You've got it going. How did you then go and sell that to a TV company? Because it was quite a radical thing. We have got these puppet statues, whatever, and we are going to model them on the politicians of the day, and we are going to poke fun at them. That's a tough sell, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because it was apart from the fact that the guys hadn't really sort of refined, hadn't really finished this technology. But there was a guy in Cambridge. Both of them came from Cambridge, oddly enough. And one of the things I found out later, because I went to Cambridge too, I went to St. John's College, and one of the things I found out was that Roger and Peter, when they were students at art college in Cambridge, worked in the buttery of St. John's College.
Yeah.
They probably served me my dinner at one point.
There you go.
Yeah, or pints of beer or whatever.
Yeah.
And so forever after, Roger always called me the young master. Just a good working class lad, just like him.
Yeah.
But there was Clive. There was a guy called Sir Clive, a technology guy. What was his name?
Oh, Clive Sinclair.
Yes, Sir Clive Sinclair.
Yeah.
And he bankrolled us for quite some time.
Did he?
To help us get, to pull this technology together. And that was key, actually. And then we sort of hooked up with John Lloyd, who I knew slightly.
Very famous comedy producer, of course, who I guess around that time, had he done Not the 9 o'clock News at that point?
No, he was coming off 9 o'clock,
right.
Not the 9 o'clock News, and I think was beginning to put Blackadder together.
Right, okay.
But he was still doing, when I met him, I think he was maybe on his last season with Not the 9 o'clock News.
Yeah.
And I had done a very famous parody with many other people in the late 70s called Not the New York Times.
Oh.
And which was all kinds of literary people. The Times went on strike, so we put out an issue of the New York Times, which was a straight-ahead parody.
And did he nick the title from you for Not the 9 o'clock News?
The first thing he said when he sat down to dinner with me was, I have to confess that I stole not from you.
Oh, well done him for owning up. In the shifty world of TV, when, ideas are getting nicked all the time, well done him for putting his hand up.
Absolutely. I gave him absolution right away.
Good for you. Well done.
And but once he got involved, then it gave it a credibility that which we hadn't really had before. And by now, we had enough sort of puppets that we could actually work the puppets to propose doing a pilot. So we went to Central Television, in Birmingham, and because nobody in the BBC would touch it, because of the sort of savagery of these caricatures, and the fact that that there was a new administration in charge who was going to look very poorly on anything like this.
Yeah.
So nobody would touch it in London, but so we went to Central, and Central actually, to their credit, were very receptive of it and paid for us to do a pilot, and we did a very funny pilot, I think, a lot of which didn't. There was one we wanted to demonstrate what the puppets could do, so there's one sketch in the pilot where there's all these Japanese businessmen sitting around a sushi table, eating sushi, and for some reason they all have to commit suicide. So they all committed suicide by, committing whatever it's called, where you cut.
Harry-Carry.
Harry-Carry, yeah. And so that was great. Great sausages of intestines coming out and flying around. Great, really grand guignol stuff.
Yeah.
So they bought it. And the rest is history.
But you didn't stick around for that long. Is it? Am I right? Because you wanted it to be more satirical and poking fun at the establishment, and John Lloyd was more interested in sort of poking fun at celebrities, which is a very different thing altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably think that's a little bit unfair to John.
Okay.
I mean, I think it was more a question of style. There were other issues, but the main thing was that John and I didn't really agree about the. I wanted it to be really hardline satire because I hated Thatcher and I hated Reagan for that matter, and they seemed like these phenomena on both sides of the Atlantic had the same cruel policies and blah blah blah. They needed really hard satire.
Yeah.
So I think. I wanted to I thought the show should be a series of little kind of sitcoms, little mini sitcoms that would run every week, and which we would get to know the characters in, and go back to. So there was one where all of the old prime ministers were in retirement at a place called Exchequers.
Brilliant.
And all the Douglas Hume and all the guys from and Wilson and so forth were all these doddering old fools in an old folks' home, and it was just a lot of fun to have these puppets sort of yelling at each other and spilling things on themselves.
Yeah.
And then there was the one I think I told you about last time, which was about number 9 Downing Street.
Yeah. Where it was Hitler living next door.
Hitler living next door to Maggie Thatcher and giving her advice about how to deal with the Union.
Yeah.
Yes, an iron fist. You need an iron fist, my little she-wolf. And that actually got on the air, I think, and was greeted with enormous amount of condemnation.
Beautiful.
So there was stuff like that, and then there was one where the Queen met Maggie every week and really hated her because she was a grocer's daughter and all that stuff. Anyway, so stuff like that, which I thought were very funny, and actually were very funny, and the puppetry was brilliant. But John wanted to do a more kind of, I call it laugh-in. I'm not sure that means very much to an English audience. But it means,
they repeated Laugh-In on Channel 4 in the 80s and 90s.
Okay, fine.
Here come the judge, all that stuff.
Exactly, the little short, sharp jokes. He was much more interested in that stuff. And the other thing with John was that he had been sort of through the wars about satire. So, and that wasn't something I really quite appreciated, that the BBC had dealt with satire from the earliest days of from Beyond the Fringe and the Frost
Report.
That was.
Yeah.
So they had a long history of dealing with how to get satire on the air without losing their license, and that wasn't the case in the States. So I was coming to this a little bit kind of the rabid bomb thrower, and I appreciated later that probably wasn't going to be ever, even at Central, which was very socialist minded, that wasn't going to happen. But the real politics, the sort of destructive politics, were behind the scenes and much more corporate and destructive and ugly. And
Tony, we've got about 2 minutes left. I just wondered what your thought, because the Spitting Image was huge, and it went on for years and years. Probably went on maybe a couple of years too long, but it became massive. I just wondered what you thought of it when it became the Chicken Song and it became this kind of huge institution. If you ever saw it in that period, and what you thought of it was.
Well, I thought, I was disappointed. I didn't follow it very much. There was very quickly, there were two things that really got to me. One was that they tried to do a US version, and that was supposed to be the thing I was going to do once we set it up in England, to do a US version. And they had no clue about US politics, so they just made a complete mess of it. It was like it wasn't funny at all, and blah, blah, blah. That was one thing. But the other thing, which was, I thought, much more telling, was I heard sometime in the late 80s, or the mid to late 80s, that the people that they were satirizing, especially politicians, were actually asking for their puppets.
Yeah.
And the particular one that I heard about was Nigel Lawson. And Nigel Lawson is this slobbery. We had this wonderful sort of slobbery puppet.
I remember it. Yeah.
It wasn't as slobbery as Hattersley, but pretty slobbery. And Lawson had apparently asked for the puppet of this slobbery puppet to be displayed in his own living room. And so
you've lost it at that point. If the politicians are embracing you, you've lost it. Tony, listen, man, we're out of time.
Okay.
But you're welcome. Honestly, if you want to come back in another few weeks, I could listen to you all night. Honestly.
Okay.
The podcast, or the final edition radio hour, which you can get on iTunes and Acast and all your usual stuff, at Tony Hendra on Twitter. Tony, it's so nice to talk to you, man. Thank you so much.
Not at all. It's great fun, as always.
Thank you very much. We'll get Tony back at some point. I love him. Honestly, we'll get him back. 03444 499 1000. This is Talk Radio.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me down the road. It's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down this road that never seems to end. When new adventure lies just around the bend. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's old style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, the whole world is my home. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's old style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. There's a world that's waiting to unfold. A brand new tale no one has ever told. We've journeyed far, but you know it won't be long. We're almost there and we paid our fare with a hobo song. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's old style.
we go, guys. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. You thought she was dead.
Some hoped.
Yeah, here we go. Catherine Boyle is in the studio. We're going to
Yes.
take calls straight to air for the last hour of the show before Paul Ross comes on at 1 o'clock. That's what we're going to do, guys. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Just call straight to air. Call straight to air. Now, here's something I've been meaning to say since I got back from Australia. Maybe I've said it, I don't know. But Toff, who won I'm a Celebrity, has friends that work in Pret, or she worked in Pret, or something, and she told me something about Pret. Have I told you this? That makes sense with something that's happened to me twice in Pret, and I keep forgetting to do it. Do you remember I'd said that that twice I'd been in Pret, and I'd ordered a sandwich and I love their cheese and pickle sandwich. They didn't have it today when I went in, and a drink. And twice, in the same week this was, a while ago, the person behind the counter said, "Oh, don't worry, sir, I'll give you this for free." Because I was asking about their names, because I think they have fake names in Pret. Anyway, twice the person said, don't worry, sir, you can have this for free. I was like, what? Weird. And then Toff told me something, and this is what we're all going to do tomorrow to try and bankrupt Pret. What she told me is that the staff in Pret, Pret A Manger, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, the staff in Pret are told that if someone orders their food and drink and is, is very, very friendly and in a good mood, you give them the food and drink for free.
Well, so they didn't charge you anything at all?
Twice.
Wow.
And this was a couple of years ago, so I was consigned to the garbage bin of showbiz history. So they didn't know who I was. And I had a sandwich, and twice they gave it to me free. And it happened in the space of a week or 2 weeks. And I remember being overly, very, very chatty in there. Hello, guys. How are you having a great... I do that sometimes.
Not creepy. They're just trying to get you
No,
out.
not creepy. But I'd ask them about that. Is it true that your names, that you have fake names in Pret? What's your real name? That's fantastic. And they gave me the... And it makes sense. So this is what we're all going to do tomorrow. So we're going to go to Pret A Manger, and we're going to be overly... And you've all got to do this, because your homework tomorrow, Wednesday night, is to call in and tell me yay or nay. Did you get free food, or did you not get free food? And you've all got to go in. You've got to be friendly. Don't take the piss. Don't be sarcastic. Be, hello, girl. Oh, it's so... whatever you do. You don't have to be like an old camp queen like I was just being there. And we're all going to try it, OK? Can you try it for me, Catherine?
We don't have a Pret where I live.
Well, yeah, come into London.
What?
It's for production.
It's going to cost me to get something for free. Is this correct?
Yes. But then we've got great content for the radio. So everybody has to try it tomorrow. I'm certainly going to try it. I'm in town tomorrow. at 4:30. Got a very important meeting that will lead to nothing. But I will go and do it, and I'll go in and I'll be, hello, everybody. Oh, fun. Before you serve me, how has your day been?
Oh, God.
Has it? Well, you guys do a great job. I would love this cheese and pickle sandwich, and
what are you having? I'm not going to do. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to buy a round for everybody. You should. They'd give it you for free.
No, they wouldn't. I don't think that's a ridiculous suggestion. But I think it's going to work. I think that tomorrow, if we all do it enough, we could see Pret go under.
And that's exactly what they deserve for their kindness.
Exactly. We could see them go under.
Right.
So that's the plan, guys. That's what we're going to do. So we'll do that tomorrow, if I remember. I always forget. I mean, I've been wanting to talk about it for 4 months, and I've forgotten. So
there's been so much other stuff to talk about.
There hasn't though.
Well,
we don't really do Trump on this show, but this is the best Donald Trump story, man. I know it's a couple of days old, but the papers have just picked up on it. Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, whatever you think of the guy, this is, even if you think he's brilliant, this is the ultimate in bellendery. Donald Trump boasted he would personally have run into the Florida school shooting unarmed. Just think about that for a second. An unfit, forget everything else, An unfit 76-year-old, is he 76?
Who's scared of slopes.
He's scared of slopes, would have run into the school unarmed. And then there was a brilliant picture that someone posted of him holding an umbrella while his youngest son was getting wet.
He won't even take a raindrop for his son.
This is a great story.
There's also that lovely gif of him in his office with the American eagle that time, and it flapped its wings and he nearly pooed his pants. So...
Donald Trump boasted he would personally... Is there audio of this, or is it in a private thing?
Oh, no, there is audio. I've heard it.
Can you find me the audio? And then send me the link, please. The president repeated his attack on a police deputy who did not enter the building at the time of the massacre. Oh, yeah, he was dissing the police that were there, because they were pussies. He told governors meeting at the White House to discuss school safety, I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have...
Maybe if there was a golf course in there. Here we go.
Can you send me the link and I'll play it?
Yeah, sure, here.
I'll play it. That is, I mean, it's absolute... it's genius, isn't it? Trump repeated his criticism of Officer Scott Peterson, saying he was frankly disgusting. After it emerged, the armed school guard stayed outside during the attack.
Wasn't just him, though. There were more...
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, that left 17 students and teachers dead.
That initial guy, it turns out there was more than one.
The president also criticised several other deputies who failed to immediately enter the school, telling the governors the officers weren't exactly Medal of Honor winners. This guy's such a bellend. Why does it come up on my phone but not on my computer? There we go. Let's have a listen to this. The guy's a player, legend. Here we go.
We have to take steps to harden our schools so that they're less vulnerable to attack. This includes allowing well-trained and certified school personnel to carry concealed firearm. At some point, you need volume. Now, I don't know that a school is going to be able to hire 100 security guards that are armed. Plus, I got to watch some deputy sheriffs performing this weekend. They weren't exactly Medal of Honor winners, all right? The way they performed was, frankly, disgusting. They were listening to what was going on. The one in particular, he was early. Then you had three others that probably a similar deal a little bit later, but a similar kind of a thing. I really believe, you don't know until you test it, but I think I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too, because I know most of you. But the way they performed was really a disgrace.
That's incredible.
Even if I didn't have a weapon.
I get it. That's great.
I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon.
Come on, man. And listen, have you seen his face? Is his face melted? He looks like... Have you seen the advert recently with Michael Parkinson in it? Have you seen it?
No.
He don't look well. Parky don't look well.
He's old, though, isn't he?
Parky don't look well. I think Parky might be next. Closely followed by Donald Trump. He doesn't look well at all, Trump. He looks terrible. His eyes are, one's... What is it? One's going off to the shops, the other's coming back with the change. He looks terrible.
Also, he's full of shit. We all know this, don't we?
Yeah. Trump has been ridiculed himself after many pointed out how he was given 5 deferments to avoid military service in Vietnam in the 1970s. His election campaign received $22 million in support from the NRA. Oh. And once again, in case you missed it, this is what Donald Trump would have done if he'd been outside that school.
But I think I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon.
Yeah, okay, mate, sure. Yeah. Chinny record.
He's the most humble person he knows.
Isn't he, just? I think that's great. And yet, the people that love him and defend him won't accept that he's a knob. They just won't accept it.
So I read a brilliant thing on Twitter the other day, which was, if your kid hits another kid with a stick, do you either take away the stick or give everyone else sticks?
No, I go and wait till the child's asleep, and then I whisper things in their ears that give them nightmares. So I did.
Okay.
0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Call straight to air till 1 o'clock. When Paul Ross comes in, I'm Iain Lee. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio.
Moonlit musings from mums, madams, and meat packers.
Oh, never mind, I must have misheard.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
The station's brilliant.
On Talk Radio.
0344 499 1000. Let's take calls straight to air. Hello, caller, you're on the radio.
Hi, Ian, it's Nigel.
Hello, Nigel. Have we spoken before?
Not tonight.
Okay.
How are you? All right.
You don't care.
I do.
He didn't even care enough to finish the sentence, I do care, before he'd moved on to his next thought. That's how little he cares.
So the signal's bad, Ian.
Your signal in your brain is bad.
I hate the weather. It's too cold.
It is too cold. It won't last forever.
And the snow. I'm snowed in, by the way. I've got about 6 inches of snow outside the door.
Nigel's got 6 inches. Make your own jokes at home, please, guys.
No, snow. 6 inches of snow.
Oh, I thought you meant your penis.
Have you got much snow? No. How much snow have you got where you are in London? Is it very thick?
No. It snowed quite heavily, but it didn't settle, and...
Oh, you're lucky. It settled. It's settling all the time.
Lucky if we didn't want snow, but I would like snow. I like snow.
Yes. It's nice if you haven't got to cycle. I mean, I still cycled 10 miles today on the road.
I was hoping, Catherine and I were hoping that we would get snowed in at work so that we could top and tail on the sofa on the second floor.
No way!
Did I tell you that's what we were hoping?
No, that wasn't
I forgot to mention that's what we were hoping, yes.
I rang in the show to cheer myself up because I feel so depressed in this cold weather.
Okay.
It's bad enough and it's not cold.
You could put a jumper on?
Hat.
I know. The heating isn't working properly in my bedroom. That doesn't help.
No, that doesn't help.
No.
Oh. If only there was some form... If only there was... Shut up. If only there was some form of vigorous exercise that one man could do on his own.
But there is, but I won't say it.
Pumping iron.
Yeah, you can pump
Hello,
off.
Catherine.
Hello.
I didn't want to leave you out.
I'll tell you what, Nigel. Nigel, say hello to Gary. Say hello to Gary, Nigel.
Hello, Gary. Hello. Are you still singing? Are you still singing in that band, the famous band? Is it Gary Barlow?
Gary Barlow, no.
Oh, you're not Gary Barlow?
No, it's not Gary Barlow.
Oh, I like Gary Barlow. He's a good singer, isn't he?
It's all right.
That's you in the country, Gary.
Yeah, that's all right.
Hang on, the signal's bad. Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you better,
what part of the country are you in at the moment, Gary?
Wakefield.
Wakefield? Oh, yeah, that's near Birmingham, isn't it?
I'll be asking a question if you're ready Jack Kerouac books, because he's a beatnik, same as Bob Dylan.
Can you repeat that? I can't hear very well. The signal's bad at the moment. I can't hear very well.
All right. Do you know Jack Kerouac, the book On the Road? Well, I'll ask Iain a question about that, see if he's ever read it, because it's quite a good book.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I understand.
Beatnik generation. Fine.
Okay. Iain? Hello, Iain? Oh, it's a terrible signal.
All right.
Yeah, it's very. The signal's bad tonight. It's the weather, I think. It might be the weather.
Where are you from, Nigel?
Maidstone.
Maidstone.
It's terrible down here. The snow is very, very bad. The snow in Kent.
Terrible down here. It's very terrible down here as well. No.
It's all closed.
I just got my money and it's very cold.
Oh. So what are you doing at the moment, Sir Gary?
Just listen to Ian Lee on radio.
Do you listen on the internet?
I know, I've got a DAB radio.
Oh, right, yeah, a special one.
Sony. Sure.
I can't get... I have to listen on the internet because I can't get the signal on the radio.
All right.
Where's Ian gone now? Are you still there, Ian? Has he popped off for a wee or something?
I think he's left us to it. I'll turn it for him. He's still.
It's the last day of the show. Are you married, Gary?
No, single.
Have you got a girlfriend? But you've got a girlfriend?
I had a girlfriend. No, I had one, but...
You had one?
It went all in
No, I've got one now. Mm. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Oh.
It went sour.
Cold weather.
Oh.
You need a girlfriend in this cold weather to warm you up. Pardon?
What about you? You got a wife or a girlfriend?
Yes, I've got a lady friend. Yes, a lady friend.
Oh, that's all right.
She's 48.
48? I'm 46. I'm getting old now.
That's all right, though. It's not too hard, is it?
No, 46 is all right. My best friend died.
My one is 48. All right.
Yeah. Best friend was 62. I've got another best friend here. She's 72. She's asleep at the moment, trying to be quiet.
Mm. Oh, dear. I wanted to do a song for Ian in a minute. Gary?
I do that. Yeah, you'll do that.
I'm waiting for him to come back.
I'll listen.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. This is. I was going to play a recording of a band in London that I played the drums with. Yeah, do you want to hear a bit? Yeah, I'll bung it on. I'll just play a little bit of this band. You should pick it up.
Feedback. A lot of feedback on that. Feedback on that, Nigel. There you go.
Look at that.
That's all right. Yeah. Bit of feedback on it.
That's a band I played the drums with.
Play the drums?
Yeah, I played the drums with that band. Pardon?
I can't play the instrument. I wish I could.
Yeah.
I wish I could play the instrument, but I can't.
It would. I don't suppose you heard it very well because of the signal.
The feedback and all that, yeah. But I listened to Beatles and I love album. What even about Love album now?
Yeah, I like the Beatles.
Ages ago. I've got a Love album. I've got all the Beatles albums.
Do you play any instruments, Gary?
I don't. I'm an artist.
Oh, you're a drawer or an artist? Yeah. What do you paint? What sort of things do you paint?
Dark stuff. Like demons and all that.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like you're a bit tired tonight. You're a bit tired, Gary. Yeah, because you sound a bit tired.
I've just been out for my money to the post office.
You haven't had a few pints, like?
I have, yeah. Which is fair enough, isn't it? I'm old enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, sure. Got to have some enjoyments in life.
Oh no, yeah.
I don't know where Ian's gone. Where is Ian gone?
I know he's gone, hasn't he? I don't know.
Disappeared.
So,
yeah,
I just want to ask him a question about Jack Kerouac, if he's heard of him or not.
Yes.
Might have read the book. Still gone, though.
Anyway, I've got to go in a minute because the credit in my credit.
No, my credit as well, no. All I know is...
Oh, anyway, Gary, I'll see you later, Gary.
See you later. Nice speaking to you.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, it's Guy.
Guy? Oh, Guy.
Yeah. Who am I speaking to?
Sorry?
Who am I speaking to?
Gary. From Wakefield.
Hello, Gary.
Right.
How are you?
How are you? I'm alright, yeah. I'm just chilling out.
Are you always this interesting, Gary?
Well, not interesting really. I was trying to ask Iain something, but he's gone off. Yeah. My credit's going as well, so I'll get off. I'll let Iain carry on. Alright then, see you in a bit.
Take care.
Take care.
Well, that was interesting. Well, I was just phoning in because I was at the Rondo Theatre at Bath, and I just wanted to let you guys know that you told to at any point to stop what you were doing and let you know that potatoes or pineapple works. It really works. Every time, because since I've fallen a bit unwell, and I've actually
come on, John, really
gone to sneeze, and potatoes and pineapple actually works. It stops you from sneezing. That's the only reason I phoned in to say.
No, seriously, out there.
Which hand are you going to make first?
That one. God, my hands are freezing.
Don't know if this will make them warm, but it will make them dry. But it's crap.
Anyway. Anyway, that was it. That was the only reason I was phoning in to say, because it would be potatoes and pineapple actually works. Although, with a little bit of caution, I will say that be careful where you say it, because if you forget where you are and you just say it randomly, like I was in a queue today, I was just saying randomly out loud potatoes and pineapple, you do get a few odd, funny looks. But here you go. All right, good night, everyone.
Hello? No. Hello? Hello? Is that Iain? Okay, nobody's talking to me. That's a bit weird, but I just want to, if I am on air, I'm so excited, man. I'm 43 years old, and I'm building an igloo outside. I'm so excited. So my friend's kids are coming around in the morning, and I'm freezing, and I'm building an igloo. It's very exciting. We've got loads of snow here in the northeast. There's about 9.5 inches, something. So I'm very excited. This is bizarre because no one's talking to me. I don't actually know if anyone's listening or what's going on. or if Iain Lee's in a bit of a mood and he's just sick of people calling in. Anyway, hope you're all having a nice night, guys. Keep warm. I'm excited. Yeah, building an igloo. It's brilliant. Got lots of nice photographs. And, yeah, take care, guys. Iain, it's a joy to talk to you as always. Bye.
The radio show that knows truth is always stranger than fiction.
Week Monday, I get shoes.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
Because they're too real to be part of my imagination.
On Talk Radio.
0344 499 1000 is the phone number. Calls straight to air until 1 o'clock when I nearly said Bill Buckley then. Gosh, that's no, Paul Ross comes on and does his thing. Then at 5 o'clock, it's James Max. You can listen to the show on DAB. You can download the app, or you can listen online at talkradio.co.uk. Here's the thing that I've only discovered on other radio apps that we don't have on ours, because it's a little bit ropey, but I do listen to the station a lot on our app, but it doesn't have this thing, the sleep timer, where you can set it for like 45 minutes or an hour so that it switches off. So you kind of nod off and then it switches itself off. I've only just discovered that in the last 2 weeks.
I used to have one of those on my old radio alarm clock, my digital one. And I used to listen to James Whale and Tommy Boyd and all those guys on when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, good function.
But they have it on they have it on the LBC app, and I guess on the Radio Player app, I think they do, and on the BBC iPlayer, they do. And our app is useful and stuff, but it could be a little bit more user friendly. I just, I'm sure if you paid someone a few £100, they could knock up a better app than that. But there you go. You can watch the show tonight as well. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/rabbithole, you can watch us. And thank you for the 150-odd people that are there watching us. And your patience is appreciated, because kind of doing experiments, one camera and the sound. And we're doing experiments because the plan is on June the 3rd to do a live TV show. Let's see if we've sold any tickets for this. We've booked a venue. No. We've booked a venue, and we're going to book a guest. Adam Buxton can't do it, unfortunately, but we will find someone who can. And we're going to stream a live TV show. Gosh, we've sold 41 out of 90 tickets.
Yeah.
That's for June the 3rd. And we're saying in the thing, it might be a car crash. It might not work. So please come along. We'll have a laugh for a couple of hours, definitely, but it might be a stinker. So this is why we're not streaming on Periscope at the moment, the show, and we will do again at some point. And why sometimes the sound is a little bit ropey on this new stream. And why the picture is not particularly good tonight, apparently. It's because I'm experimenting. And the whole thing of streaming video is a bit of a mystery to me. And there is no reason why the picture shouldn't be as good tonight as it was yesterday, but yet that's the way it is. And the sound's going a little bit in and out of sync and stuff. And I don't know why. I don't know why it worked so well yesterday. It didn't work. It doesn't work so well today, but this is all an experiment, and we'll see. Don't be afraid to fail is kind of the thing. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. There we go. This is useful. The Daily Mail has got tips on how to keep warm. Don't have an okay. This is stupid. Straight in. These are their tips on how to keep warm. And the first one is, don't have a hot coffee. An iced coffee is better.
Oh, stop this.
Well, I know that when you drink, you're supposed to drink a hot drink if you want to cool down, because it makes you sweat. But it only makes you sweat when sweat cools you down. But it only makes you sweat because you're hot. You're getting hotter. So that's stupid.
But surely you have to be hot to start with.
Wrapping your hands round a steaming cappuccino may seem like the perfect antidote. They were giving away like I popped into a popular coffee house, Cafe Nero, and when I was there, everyone was coming in and showing their phone to people and showing their phone. What's they showing their phone to? Well, they showed their phone. Hot chocolate, please. What size? And they're showing their phone. And there was like a tie-in, like a phone company were doing a tie-in where everyone could go and get a free hot chocolate today. As you know, I'm allergic to hot chocolate. Hello, line 1.
Hip, hip, hip.
Hip, hip, hip.
Hey, Ian. Good to hear you. I was just wondering, are you still writing your autobiography?
No.
You stopped?
Well, it wasn't an autobiography. It was a book where every chapter was going to be about a different TV show I've worked on, because I've worked on hundreds, literally hundreds. Well, maybe not literally hundreds, but I've worked on scores, and a score is 20, and I've worked on scores, so that means at least 40, but it's probably closer to 80. And before I went in the jungle, I'd written about 25,000 words, and my agent took it around to all the publishers, and they went, no, we're not interested. And I thought, well, you wait, guys, because I know what's coming up in my diary. And then when I came back from the jungle, my agent took it round to all the publishers, and they went, no, we're not interested. So I kind of haven't got any motivation to write it. But you could self-publish. I can't be arsed.
But that was after the jungle.
Yeah.
They couldn't sell it. Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you'd get a deal now easy.
Yes, so did I. In all honesty, so did I. But yeah, no one's interested.
See, I was really interested in hearing like your stuff about radio. You know, like the TV stuff.
Well, that was going to be book 2, but it was going to be book 2. But if I can't even get book 1 out of the trap, and everyone's going, well, you should self-publish. You know, you use Create Space, and I can't be bothered. I don't want to do a vanity publishing. I know it's not vanity publishing now, but I just don't. It would feel a little bit cheap. It would feel a little bit cheap.
Yeah, but you know, all your Twitter followers and that, you could probably just on the strength of your own publicity machine, you could probably sell a lot of copies, I would have thought.
I don't think so. I could probably sell a couple of hundred copies, but that ain't a lot. And also, here's the thing: I'm curious about Twitter at the moment, because I've got about 103,000 followers, right? And I think about 80% of those are genuine. There's a website you can go to, and it will tell you how many followers are genuine and how many.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and I think about 80% of mine, which is a pretty good average. So it's about 80,000, right? But I've noticed, I wonder if I'm muted by a lot of them, because I've done this deliberately. The last couple of days, or actually over the last couple of weeks, a couple of times, 3 or 4 times, I have tweeted things and included in it, please retweet, just to see. And it got retweeted, both times it's got retweeted about 15, 20 times. Now, 100,000 followers, let's assume 80,000 of them are genuine. To only get 20 retweets after asking for retweets?
It's as if people don't complete your commands.
No, it's not that at all. It makes me wonder, A, whether I'm muted by a lot of people. No. And hang on, let me finish, because I'm genuinely been fascinated by this. But it's led me to the conclusion that Twitter, as an act, as a way of selling stuff, and I've heard this from Jimmy Carr indirectly, Twitter as a way of selling stuff isn't very good. It's not very good. People are disengaging from it.
I don't think people like retweeting things like that. I don't think they like retweeting basically what's an advert for other people.
No, I've seen people get retweets. I've seen it. And when it's a link for the show, I've done it with different things. Link for the show, short video, loads of different stuff, and 25 retweets. So it makes me think that that Twitter is rubbish. Caller.
Is it because it's kind of now associated with great nastiness that people are being put off?
No, I don't know if it's that, but I did earlier on today go and look at some of those people that were sending abuse to those kids that didn't get shot in that school, and I thought, Jesus, is that what we've become, really? And it did make me think, you know, I am a part of a platform where it's okay to send abuse to kids that didn't get shot, and I don't know, but no. Well, in terms of selling a book on Twitter, if I can't get 25 retweets for a funny clip, then I ain't going to sell a book.
That's a shame, because I was looking forward to all the geeky stuff about radio, but I guess there's a limited audience for that who are calling you like at this time of night, probably.
Well, if you want to pay me £2,500, that's all I'd want. I would write the book just for you.
No, well, I did think Kath would make a great editor from the way that she speaks and everything. Like Dougie Anderson.
She speaks so well, doesn't she?
Considering, yeah.
She's a great speaker.
She's a good talker, but then listen to me. My standards probably aren't that high. So
okay, thanks.
No, but Dougie Anderson was right in what he said, bigging you up there, Kath.
Oh,
also, the thing about Twitter is the king of Twitter is like the nastiest man in the world, the T word that you were mentioning earlier. So I think the fact that he tweets more than anyone else, the president, probably puts some people off because, like, it's just such a hive of a den of iniquity and kind of nastiness.
Yeah.
But also on that subject, you were talking about John Goodman a while back. Great actor, I agree with you.
Great actor, great singer.
Do you know that Roseanne is coming back? I don't know if you're a fan.
I was never really a fan of Roseanne. I watched it from time to time. Good Friday night viewing. That will be a disaster, won't it? It coming back?
Like 20 years later, it's absolutely madness. And none of them need the money, I don't think. And but this is this really strange storyline that I heard, that Roseanne is going to be a Trump supporter, which is bizarre.
Yeah, well...
Because that character struck me as really liberal. So.
Here's the thing. When these shows get back together, they are always rubbish.
That is the thing. And I mean, the last series of Roseanne was terrible, where it was just a dream.
Oh, God.
They ruined it in the last series. And that is really going to, I think... I hope not. But, John Goodman's in it and everything. Laurie Metcalf, and I think it's really going to ruin its legacy. But hopefully, I'm wrong.
Unless they're telling you about the Trump stuff to try and whip up interest because it'll be controversial. Unless she's going to go on, because sometimes she would go on a journey, wouldn't she, where she would change her mind about something, and maybe that's what's going to happen, that she starts out as a Trump supporter and she becomes disenchanted. Who knows? But
I hope so.
She knows what she's doing, Roseanne. I mean, people knock her, and she's a big mouth and all that stuff that some people don't like. But she doesn't need to do it. So what's she doing it for,
She's very bright. I mean, I do like her, and I've read her books, and they're really good.
Yeah.
The first one was really good, the autobiography. The second one, not so much. But she's really clever. No, but I did hear Laurie Metcalf, who played Jackie, saying that. And she is going to play the non-Trump supporter, so they're going to have a bit of a dynamic there. So, I mean, it might be interesting, but...
It won't. I tell you now, it'll be dull.
I'll give it a watch.
Hey, listen, man, thank you very much. 03444991000. Call straight to air until 1 o'clock when Paul Ross comes in. This is Talk Radio.
Stimulating nightly emissions guaranteed to open your eyes and your mind.
Oh, my word.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
03444991000 is the telephone number. Call straight to air. We've got another 9 minutes of this rubbish. Then Paul Ross comes in at 1 o'clock, and then at 5 o'clock, it's James Marks at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, man. Be cold. It's going to be bloody cold at 5. It's going to be bloody cold at 5 o'clock, isn't it? God, that would be awful. Wouldn't fancy coming in at that time.
No, thanks.
No, I wouldn't fancy that. 03444991000 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Let's go to line 1. Line 1, you're on the wireless.
Hi, hello, good evening.
Yes.
I have been trying for a wee while now to have a serious conversation. And I'm not going to say the word because as soon as I say that, it goes sidetracked. So it's really to circumcise or not to circumcise. That's the question. So every time I say I want to talk about willies, then it just goes haywire.
It's a bit of a... Everyone's been doing that, haven't they?
Who? Where?
Well, pretty much every phone-in show I've listened to in the last week has been doing that. It's a bit of a...
Oh, I don't know. I don't listen to any other phone-in shows. I'm very loyal.
Yeah, it's a bit of a phone-in trope. I'm using trope a lot. I don't know what trope means.
Keep using it and it'll come through.
Yeah, I'll get it. If I keep firing out the word trope, then at some point it's going to be accurate. It's going to be right.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Do you know?
No, I don't. Well, I don't care.
I think it's abuse.
Okay.
It's abuse. It's abusive towards young babies.
But why do you care?
Because it's abuse.
Right.
As much as
Why do you care?
Because I have a conscience.
Okay, well then why are you only talking about it now when it's been in the papers? Why weren't you talking about it 3 weeks ago when it wasn't in the papers?
Well, I've been talking about FGM for about the last 20
No, we're talking about circumcision on boys.
Yes, but FGM is female circumcision.
Yeah, we're talking about but you phoned in to talk about circumcision on boys. So,
I know what I'm phoning in to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
But the thing about female
but why are you...
circumcision-
No, but we're not talking about that for the moment. Focus on one thing.
Okay, you ask the question and I'll answer.
No, but you're not answering it. You're talking about something else. Why are you only phoning in and talking about male circumcision now when it's been in the papers? If you care so much, why weren't you talking about it 3 weeks ago or 6 months ago or 6 years ago?
I started my conversation by saying I've been trying for the last few weeks to talk about it.
Well, you've not spoken to me about it. How am I supposed to know what you're talking about, what you're trying to talk about?
Every time I say willies, it goes haywire.
Well,
last time it became about Free Willy and Ur Willy and Willy Wonka.
Okay.
So tonight I was hoping that I could have a serious conversation.
Okay, but in quite a needy way.
Well, what's needy about it?
Well, you're doing it in this kind of babyish voice, and it's
because I'm lying down. Would you like me to sit up?
Well, I just think if you're going to talk about genital mutilation, to not do it in a babyish voice. Otherwise, how am I supposed to take you?
Oh no! Wait a minute, my baby. I can't help my voice. Is my voice?
No, you can. How am I supposed to take you seriously if you're doing it in a babyish voice?
My voice is my voice.
But you're doing it. You're doing it there. You know. I mean,
that's my voice is my voice. I can't change my voice. Well, okay. I can put on voices. Would you like me to put on a different voice?
But that's not the voice that you normally... I've never heard you speak in that voice before. That's not the voice that you normally use.
The voice that I normally... When I get upset, my voice goes high.
Okay, well, so you're not upset then because your voice has gone low?
No, because I'm tired and I'm lying down.
Okay, don't get angry with me. Jeez, I'm just saying.
I'm not angry.
Well, you are.
If I was angry, I would be shouting.
You were shouting just then.
Was I? Has it been in the paper? I don't read papers.
Come on, that's bollocks, and you know it is.
No, we're not talking about bollocks. No, it doesn't affect the bollocks.
Okay, so you don't want to have a serious conversation. That's fine.
I do.
Well, then stop making jokes.
I never made a joke. I don't make jokes.
You literally just made a joke.
You said bollocks. Does it affect the bollocks too?
You literally just made a joke. Yeah.
Well, just as well I'm not a comedian then. FGM. People are so anti-FGM, but they don't seem so bothered about, the wee baby boys.
I have nothing to say about it.
That's okay. You're entitled to not have an opinion. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much indeed. Cue passive-aggressive emails. Some people. Hey, Paul, no, you can't have that. Get your hand off my Game Boy. That's got a computer in it, so it plays PlayStation games. Huh? I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. Well, I am dumb actually, but there you go. I got from my friend Will. Gave me a Game Boy, old Game Boy that's got a Retro Pi computer in it, so it can play Atari, Nintendo, Spectrum. I was playing Manic Miner on there. Manic Miner on a Game Boy. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? Well, I feel we're coming towards the end of this show. I don't know. Is there anything in the papers that I want to do? Oh, I was doing the keep warm, wasn't I? That's what I was doing. On. This is important stuff. This is going to save lives.
Where do you put your hot water bottle? Important question.
Hug a hot water bottle between your thighs, according to
gosh.
this.
Really?
Yep.
Isn't that a bit dangerous?
Handed a hot water bottle, most people will hug it to their stomach and hope the warmth will spread throughout their body. But a much better way to... I'm doing it now, blimey. Here we go, it's a good one. Run a hairdryer over your sheets.
Oh.
Running a hairdryer over the inside of your bed sheets has the same effect as an electric blanket or a Dutch oven. Oh, my God. It takes the chill off the fabric. You could also put your pyjamas in the tumble dryer on a 10-minute cycle just before bed.
Just put more clothes on. Move about.
Wear white or slip into silver. They say there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. So winter-proofing your wardrobe is essential at this time of year. Too late, because it'll be spring in a week. That's what it'll be. It's a common misconception that black is best for winter. According to studies of bird plumage, white acts as a reflector, meaning it may actually be better at trapping natural body heat close to your skin. Yes, caller.
Hi, Ed. It's CJ.
Hello, CJ.
Oh, gosh, that's not good. Sorry, sir. It's been a very, very, very long day. And I rang in because I wanted to ask for some help on an issue I've been having.
Yeah.
Last year, I created oh, gosh almighty. Hang on, sorry. I created a Facebook account. Sorry, that's the profile being a dick. I created a Facebook account, and the Facebook account...
He's gone.
He's given up on himself.
What? What the hell was that? All right, well, if you're watching on YouTube, we shall say goodnight to you now. Thank you very much for watching. Good night. If you are listening to us, don't forget you can download the podcast. What a wonderful way to end the show. You can download the podcast, dear listener. Go to iTunes or your usual podcast provider. Subscribe, like and share if you would be so bold. That would be absolutely marvellous. You know, leaving nice comments and things kind of helps us and it helps the show and stuff. We're out of time, CJ.
Sorry, I was editing a video.
You were what?
Oh, sorry, I was editing a video.
Right, okay. So, I mean, that's the perfect ending to a really nice show. I've really enjoyed it tonight. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, dear listener. Stay tuned, though. Stay tuned, because after 1 o'clock and keeping me company on my drive home, it'll be Paul Ross, no less, guys. So do stick around. This is the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio.